Chapter 648. Repairing the Family Great Formation, Beast Taming Sioux Family. They've arrived so quickly. I'll go take a look. Ling Zixiao, upon hearing the words, put down the jade scroll in her hand and said with a smile, Zixiao, in addition to setting up a formation on the peak of Baiyun Peak, I also plan to set up a formation beneath Baishui Lake. Lu Chongqing stated his needs in advance. He also took out the oceanic bead, telling Ling Zixiao that this bead had the effect of nourishing water channels and aquatic creatures. He planned to place this oceanic bead under the spirit vein of Baishui Lake. The oceanic bead, 36 in total, each comparable to a near magical treasure. Ling Zixiao looked at the oceanic bead before her with a hint of surprise in her beautiful eyes. You must know that magical treasures are extremely precious, and few people can create them. Many nascent soul immortals don't even have multiple magical treasures. Lu Chongqing casually took out a combination of extremely rare magical treasures to nourish the water channels. She couldn't help feeling astounded by Lu Changsheng's mystery and suspected that he had inherited the full legacy of a nascent soul true lord. That's right. These treasures were made from the oceanic pearls left by the Jiaran of the sea, each comparable to a near-magical treasure with the effect of nourishing water channels. If it's continuously nourished, the first-grade top-notch spirit vein under Baishui Lake might even have the chance to upgrade to a second-grade spirit vein. Lu Chongqing chuckled lightly and spoke thus. My dear, the oceanic bead is of significant importance. Although the array master from Qingyun sect has been requested through the Qingyun order, he cannot be fully trusted. However, since there are 36 oceanic beads, one can be taken out to serve as the foundation of the formation at Baishui Lake. In this way, I can later use this formation base as the key node of Baishui Lake, overlaying formations within formations. If the spirit vein formation of Baishui Lake upgrades to second rank, this will also enhance the overall great formation. Ling Zixiao looked at the oceanic bead before her, thought for a moment, and then expressed her thoughts. Good, Zixiao, hold on to these oceanic beads for now, and you can arrange as you see fit later on. Lu Chongqing, upon hearing this, nodded and handed over the oceanic bead to Ling Zixiao. Since the oceanic bead was somewhat heavy, he asked Ling Zixiao to be careful with it. Ling Zixiao felt warmth in her heart seeing Lu Chongqing entrust her with such precious magical treasures so easily and with such concern that she should be careful, and she nodded with a smile in her eyes, replying, Okay. The two walked out of Chongqing Hall and entered the main hall of Baiyun Villa. Zixiao. This is Mo Shorin from Qingyun sect. Master Mo. Master Mo. This is my partner, Ling Zixiao. Lu Chongqing brought Ling Zixiao to the hall and introduced them. Master Mo, pleasure to meet you. Ling Zixiao, dressed in a blue gown, with a pale and elegantly beautiful face, looked at Master Mo before her and said with a graceful smile, Hee, it's a pleasure to meet you, Taoist Ling. I wonder what requirements and thoughts you have regarding the family's great formation. Master Mo looked at Ling Zixiao and spoke with a chuckle. He could tell from her complexion that Ling Zixiao was not in good health. Knowing her condition, undertaking the enormous task of setting up a family great formation was indeed too much. Otherwise, there would be no need to expend a Qingyun order and call upon the goodwill of Qingyun sect to get him to take action personally. Regarding the Bai Lake Mountain Great Formation, there is no need to set it up from scratch. The workload would be just too great, requiring at least several years to complete. So, my thought is to build upon the existing Blue Water Azure Sky Great Formation, Ling Zixiao said with a smile. The Yu family's Blue Water Azure Sky Great Formation as a second-rank high-grade Great Formation was already considered quite good. After all, it's not that the higher the rank of a family's great formation, the better. One must also consider daily spiritual energy consumption, the consumption when the formation is operating at full power, the coverage, and other factors. If that is the case, it would be most ideal. Taoist Ling, after I examine the spirit vein and the status of the great formation on Bai Lake Mountain, will finalize a plan. How does that sound? Master Mo's face lit up with a smile when he heard Ling Zixiao's words. To set up a family great formation from scratch would not only consume materials but also take a great deal of time. If one could just adapt the existing setup, the workload would be greatly decreased, potentially to just 10 or 20% of the original. Naturally, he was not inclined to start afresh and spend a vast amount of time at Bai Lake Mountain. That is only natural. Ling Zixiao spoke with a dignified elegance. Then, they proceeded to inspect the ley lines and the situation of the Great Formation on Bai Lake Mountain. During the process, Ling Zixiao presented her thoughts on the setup and arrangements for the Great Formation and some minor adjustments to the layout of Bai Lake Mountain to Master Mo. Typically, when Master Mo set up a Great Formation, it was his decision alone after examining the spirit vein layout. This time, due to the relationship between Lu Chongsheng and Qingyun sect, he gave some consideration to their opinions. Yet, deep down, he was still somewhat arrogant, believing they should heed his suggestions. Now listening to Ling Zixiao's arrangements, understanding, and views on Bai Lake Mountain's Great Formation, he suddenly realized that Ling Zixiao was extraordinary in the formation path. He put away the disdain and arrogance in his heart and discussed the setup and arrangement of the Great Formation with her as an equal. So it was that after inspecting the Great Formation at Bai Lake Mountain, Master Mo settled down temporarily at Biyun Villa with his 2 disciples, ready to finalize the plan and then start the refurbishment and setup of the Great Formation. Chongsheng, the matter of overseeing Bai Lake Mountain, has been agreed upon by the master. After the Great Formation business was taken care of, Xiao Xie finally found time to speak to Lu Chongsheng alone and informed him about overseeing Bai Lake Mountain. That's wonderful. Lu Chongsheng was immediately overjoyed to hear that Xiao Xie could come to oversee things, thinking to himself that Kaiyun True Immortal was quite a reasonable person after all. He was previously worried whether Kaiyun True Immortal would thwart their relationship. Chapter 649. Repairing the Family Great Formation, Beast Taming Su Family. But I still have to make a trip to Green River Marketplace, Xiao Xie continued. She indicated that she might need 1 or 2 months to finish her business in Green River Marketplace before she could come over. All right. Xiyu, when do you plan to go to Green River Marketplace? Lu Chongsheng inquired. I plan to head there today, to deal with the matters there early and then come over. Xiao Xie said so. Although she wished to accompany her daughter, the thought of meeting her and then parting again made her prefer to get the tasks out of the way sooner rather than later. Xiyu, after you arrive at Green River Marketplace, help me see if there's a second-rank pill furnace available, and take a look at these spiritual materials as well. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongsheng took out a materials list and said to Xiao Xie, alchemy, wine brewing, puppet crafting, these 3 skills he planned to employ altogether to craft several second-rank puppets for the home. Thus, he had many materials to purchase. Since Xiao Xie was available, he let her take the opportunity to make the purchases for him in Green River Marketplace. This many. Xiao Xie looked at the list, surprised by the variety of spiritual medicines and spiritual materials needed. You don't need to spend time gathering them. If they're available, buy them. If not, then let it be. Lu Chongsheng smiled and said, taking out spirit stones from his storage bag to give to Xiao Xie. He also took out a stack of talismans for Xiao Xie, so if she ran out of spirit stones, she could sell the talismans for more. Chongsheng, do you still consider becoming a guest elder for the Qingyun sect? With your current skill in talisman making, you're already qualified to be a talisman path guest elder for the Qingyun sect. Becoming a guest elder for the Qingyun sect would bring many benefits and conveniences, both personally and for the family. Xiao Xie said these while looking at the talismans in her hand. Guest elder for the Qingyun sect. Lu Chongsheng paused lightly when he heard this, his face showing a moment of contemplation. He didn't mind taking on the role of a guest elder for the Qingyun sect. After all, it's good to lean on a strong tree for support. Having the title of Qingyun sect guest elder indeed came with many advantages and conveniences. Let's talk about this in a few years. There's a lot to take care of at Bai Lake Mountain right now. Once things settle down, I'll consider it. Lu Chongsheng said after a moment's deliberation. Being a guest elder for the Qingyun sect would unavoidably bring certain obligations. But as the family's situation was not yet stable, he didn't want to trouble himself for some convenience. Sure. Xiao Xie nodded with a smile. She wasn't trying to get Lu Chongsheng to join the Qingyun sect or anything. She simply thought that it would be beneficial for both him and the family if Lu Chongsheng became a guest elder. Xiyu, Stay for a night before you go? Lu Chongqing looked at Xiao Xier in front of him, took her delicate hand gently, and holding her in his embrace, said warmly. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. Renovations and modifications of the Great Formation at Bai Lake Mountain had begun. Apart from Mo Shorin and his 2 disciples, Lu Yuanding had also hired 3 more array masters to assist Lu Chongqing. Lu Chongqing entrusted the family Great Formation matters entirely to Ling Zixiao. Apart from making talismans, daily cultivation, and fusing his life-bound treasured bone, he taught his children and concubines. Or he would inspect the spiritual medicine valley, fish farms, and spiritual fields when he had nothing else to do. That day, Lu Chongqing suddenly felt a surge of qi flow towards him. He knew another one of his children had completed qi refinement initiation. But after waiting for most of the day, he didn't receive the good news about which child it was. Could it be? Lu Chongqing felt a stir in his mental spirit, and a system window appeared before him. Name, Lu Qingshan. Lifespan, November 99. Talent, 6th grade spiritual root. Gungjin body constitution, middle grade spiritual body. Cultivation level, Qi refinement level 1. Talent, Sword Dao compatibility, 49%. Qingshan has completed Qi refinement initiation? Lu Chongqing looked at his son Lu Qingshan's panel, feeling both surprised and delighted. Cultivators generally start their practice at the age of 12. However, due to different innate talents and foundations, there could be some fluctuations. Lu Qingshan was not yet 12 years old when he completed Qi refinement initiation, indicating his excellent talent and comprehension. After all, a nascent soul immortal would not accept him as a disciple if the cultivation techniques to be comprehended were simple. I wonder how Qingshan is doing in Jinyang sect. Now that he has completed Qi refinement initiation, his master must be giving him considerable attention. Thinking about his mischievous son, Lu Chongqing felt a heaviness in his heart. He took a deep breath and let it out slowly. He didn't know when he would be able to visit his children at the Jinyang sect. Yu Country, Jinyang sect, Tian Yuan Peak. Lu Qingshan, in a luxurious robe interwoven with gold and white, walked out of the palace with joy on his face. Seeing Lu Qingzhu inside the hall reading a book, he quickly stepped forward to lift his sister, saying happily, "Little Zhuer, I've already completed Qi refinement initiation. Brother, you're amazing." Lu Qingzhu immediately showed a smile upon hearing this. "Of course," Lu Qingshan said proudly, rubbing his sister's little head. "Don't worry with my talent. Just give me about 10 years to break through to foundation establishment and become a foundation establishment great cultivator. And then we can go home to visit mother. Hee hee. By then, mother, grandfather, and father will be shocked when they find out I've become a foundation establishment great cultivator." Lu Qingshan grinned, imagining the day when he would return home as a foundation establishment great cultivator. Previously, he thought that the Jinyang sect would be similar to the Qingyun sect. If he missed home, he might still be able to visit. However, after arriving at the Jinyang sect, he learned that he and his sister had come to another country. The journey from here back home was very far, and they had to wait until he became a foundation establishment cultivator to make the trip. This caused Lu Qingzhu to feel sad for a long time. Chapter 650. Repairing the Family Great Formation, Beast Taming Su Family, _4 and so, bringing his sister home became one of his motivations to diligently cultivate. Brother. Go for it. Lu Qingzhu clenched her little fists and nodded vigorously. Xiaozhu, what do you want to eat today? I'll go get food from the dining hall. Lu Qingshan put down his sister and called out. The entire Tianyuan Peak was very quiet, home to only the Tianyuan True Immortal. But the Tianyuan True Immortal was usually very erratic, either in closed-door cultivation or out on affairs, rarely showing himself. Therefore, the siblings usually had to go to Jinyang sect's inner sect dining hall for meals. Brother, whatever you choose is fine. Lu Qingzhu said this with an obedient face. All right, wait at home for me. Upon hearing this, Lu Qingshan nodded, then ran out of the great hall and yelled towards the distance. Crane Ferry! Crane Fairy. Soon after, a majestic and handsome crane, standing a full 10 feet tall with bright, fiery red feathers, swooped down from the mountain behind, stirring up a strong gust of wind, and said to Lu Qingshan, "Boy, what do you need? It's time for a meal. Take me to the dining hall." Lu Qingshan said to the crane in front of him with a playful smile, "You're such a bother, kid, needing to eat every day, making this fairy accompany you on a trip each time." The crane fairy complained but still slightly bent down to let Lu Qingshan climb onto its back. "Can't help it, I'm growing right now, but once I can fly with tools by myself, I won't need to trouble you anymore. But rest assured, you won't miss out on your 8 treasure chicken, roasted goose, and steamed bear paws." Lu Qingshan said as much. "Enough, enough, stop talking. Get on. This fairy is about to take flight." The crane fairy, hearing Lu Qingshan's words, couldn't help but drool, which dribbled down to the ground, exuding bursts of fragrance. Lu Qingshan, well prepared for this, immediately picked up a wooden bucket next to him to collect the crane's drool. "You brat, tricking me for my fairy drool again. Are you going or not?" The crane fairy, seeing Lu Qingshan's actions, grumbled unhappily. "Going, going, going, your crane drool is precious and shouldn't be wasted. Whether for watering spiritual medicines or for medicinal baths, it's beneficial. When I achieve a breakthrough soon and can fly with tools, you'll be spared the trouble." Lu Qingshan chuckled, then climbed onto the crane's back, grasping its feathers tightly with both hands, looking around at the scenery as they flew towards the main peak of Jinyang Sek's intersect. In the blink of an eye, more than half a month went by. That day, a child was born to one of Lu Changsheng's concubines, Zhang Yongwan. The child possessed a spiritual root, a 6th grade spiritual root, which put Lu Changsheng in a very good mood. These days, with eugenics, the spiritual root talents of his children were gradually improving. During this time, Zhang Yongwan brought up the matters of Wugong Ridge Zheng family to Lu Changsheng. She indicated that her family was currently in contact with the beast-taming Su family, getting ready to become a subsidiary to the Su family. The beast-taming Su family? Lu Changsheng was somewhat surprised upon hearing this name. The beast-taming Su family was one of the 3 great cultivation families of Jiang country, a family with a core formation elder as its pillar. It could be said to be the #1 cultivation family in the Qingyun region. Having heard of the renown of the beast-taming Su family in the Qingyun market before, Lu Changsheng knew they fostered a unit of water serpent Dao soldiers and fire raven Dao soldiers, with a profound family heritage. Now Zhang Yongwan was saying that the Zheng family was preparing to become a subsidiary to the Su family. It wasn't that he thought differently, but in Lu Changsheng's view, a family like the Zheng family, even if offering to become a subsidiary, the Su family might not necessarily be interested. It's just one of the Su family's branches, the Yu Mountain Su family, with 2 foundation establishment great cultivators in their family, Zhang Yongwan stated. "I see." Lu Changsheng nodded upon hearing this, feeling that this made more sense. However, in his view, the old patriarch of the Zheng family was still making a hasty decision out of desperation. He estimated that, just like his own family had done before, by choosing to become a subsidiary or marrying off a daughter, they were only seeking to preserve the family's ancestral business. But if the Su family was willing to take you in as a subsidiary, they must have some motive, right? It's not likely they would protect you for nothing, just for a small fraction of the profit. Sai, the old patriarch of the Zheng family, is truly desperate. He even gave up 1.5% of the Red Leaf Valley Market's benefits, divided it between our 3 families, leaving only 0.5% for Wugong Ridge. Our 3 families have already promised to take care of Wugong Ridge for him, but now they are reaching out to the beast-taming Su family. Lu Changsheng sighed softly. Initially, when the 4 families divided the Red Leaf Valley Market, Qingzhou Mountain took 40%, 100 Birds Lake and the Yu family, and the Zheng family each took 20%. Latterly, because the Yu Yuanshan of the Red Leaf Valley Market had always presided over it, Qingzhou Mountain ceded 10% to the Yu family. Previously, at the founding ceremony of the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, the patriarch of the Zheng family knew they couldn't hold on to this benefit, so they proactively offered up 1.5% to be divided between the 3 families. It was in hopes that the three families would lend the Zheng family a helping hand in the future. Faced with this, the three families all nodded in agreement, indicating that they would help within their capabilities. Now that the Zheng family had become a vassal to the beast-taming Su family, Lu Chongqing couldn't help but worry if the Yu family would truly take the Zheng family as a vassal, would it affect his own side? The patriarch of the Zheng family knows that if a family power wants to annex the Zheng family, the three of us really can't help much. So he's trying to find as many allies as possible, at the very least the beast-taming Su family, who hail from the beast-taming Su family, won't be too brutal and value-saving face. Lu Chongqing shook his head, not wanting to dwell on it, and decided to inform Ling Zixiao of this news, to see what she thought about it. At the same time, he sent a message to Qingzhou Mountain Hundred Birds Lake, to tell Lu Yuanzhong and Bai Yunyang about it. After all, Zhang Yongwan was telling him this maybe as an advance warning, to spare him the shock when he eventually found out. 10 days later, Xiao Xie arrived at Blue Lake Mountain. She needed to keep her tracks and identity hidden on this trip. So Lu Chongqing directly arranged for Xiao Xie to stay at Chongqing Hall. Nowadays, Lu Miaoge was often in charge at Qingzhou Mountain, leaving Chongqing Hall very vacant, with only Lu Chongsheng and Ling Zixiao remaining. And often, Lu Chongqing didn't even spend the nights at Chongqing Hall. Xiao Xie brought back a second-grade superior alchemy furnace for Lu Chongqing on this trip. Once the fire veins in the Bai Yun Peak alchemy room were nurtured and they had the earth vein fire, he could start alchemy. As for the materials for wine brewing and puppetry, Xiao Xie also purchased quite a lot. But in both of these aspects, Lu Chongqing was not in a hurry to use them. For wine brewing, a regular first-grade wine could be produced with a brewing workshop and a cellar. However, for second-grade spiritual wine, not only are the materials scarce, the process is also complex. Different wines even require different cellars, which is quite troublesome, and cannot be built in a short period of time. As for puppets, they take too much time to make. The materials Xiao Xie has purchased so far are enough for him to make 3 second-grade puppets. But given his current situation, who knows how long it will take to craft these 3 second-grade puppets. The second-grade puppet he gave to Lu Miaohuan before was destroyed, and he hasn't even repaired it yet. So he's planning to take it slow. In a branch of the Myriad Beasts mountain range. In a basin valley, many dark coffins were buried, surrounded by the corpses of numerous demon beasts, with blood making the whole valley appear somewhat gloomy and terrifying. Wuxia is dead. What happened? At that moment, within a deep bronze coffin in the valley, a man dressed in black brocade robes, with a slightly stiff visage, sat up, his voice indifferent and commanding. Ancestor, Wuxia met with calamity at the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. In front of the coffin, a young man in his late 20s reported respectfully. I had previously warned them to be cautious, to focus on plundering, without being too conspicuous. Xiahou Wuo's face darkened with anger as he listened to these words. He continued, now that Wuxia is dead, Qingyun sect will surely be investigating our family. Pass down my order. No one is to leave the Myriad Beasts mountain range. Convey my commands for Wushang and the rest to be more cautious and careful in Yu country. Yes, ancestor. The young man's expression showed traces of resentment upon hearing his ancestor's words. Xiahou Wuxia was the only other foundation establishment late-stage ancestor in their Xiahou family aside from Xiahou Wuo. Now that they were wanted by Qingyun sect and Jiang country, like rats in the gutter, they could only hide in the Myriad Beasts mountain range. Yet a mere foundation establishment family like Blue Lake Mountain could kill their ancestor, and Xiahou Wuo showed no response, which was extremely frustrating for him. Xiahou Wuo, of course, noticed the discontent in his kin's eyes, but he knew that if he went to trouble Blue Lake Mountain now, it would be extremely dangerous. Even if he destroyed Blue Lake Mountain to avenge his brother, it was highly likely that he would perish as well. Now that Wuxia is dead, the family's expenses can only rely on hunting demon beasts, but most of these beasts are used for corpse cultivation, part of the necromancy grounds. This is hardly a sustainable plan. Ancestor, to avenge our family's grudge and with my life on the line, I feel no fear, but to manage the household in this manner is truly. After the young man left, Xiahou Wuo clenched his fists, his face twisted ferociously, his eyes glinting blood-red as he murmured to himself. It's unclear how much time had passed, but he held a jade slip in a daze, determination emerging in his blood-red eyes. Chapter 651. Endless guileful head, 100 refinements treasure body art 6th level. _1 within Chongqing Hall. A warm fragrance filled the air. On the white jade bed, Lu Chongqing embraced Ling Zixio's plump and soft waist. The soft and silky body was blushing beneath the white, dotted with delicate beads of sweat, giving the skin a tempting luster. Zixio, you've worked hard these days? Lu Chongqing lay down on his side and gently stroked Ling Zixio's snow-white skin, speaking softly. In recent days, Ling Zixio was not only concerned with the family's great formation but also had to teach the children about formations. And on the family affairs side, Lu Miaoyun would often consult her, keeping her extremely busy. Her beautiful hair was disheveled, dampened by scented sweat, sticking to her charmingly flushed cheeks, a pair of Qiushui bright eyes brimming with a seductive charm as she spoke in a soft voice. It's not so hard. I usually have nothing else to do. But you, Chongqing, are busy all day and still take the time to heal my injuries, even at the expense of your own cultivation. Ling Zixio's voice trembled slightly as she spoke. It's not a big deal. In 2 years, once the children at home can stand on their own, I can focus on cultivation, Lu Chongqing said softly, his palm full and overbrimming. Many things can only be understood once done. Before establishing the family, he thought he was well prepared. But now that the family has just been established, even with Bai Lake Mountain as its base, he felt it was quite troublesome. If not for people like Ling Zixio, Lu Miaoyun, and the support of Qingzhou Mountain, he would never have coped alone. As long as you have a plan, go and spend time with Xiaodao friend. Ling Zixio propped up her delicate body slightly, speaking softly to Lu Chongqing. After Xiaoxia moved into Chongqing Hall, she clearly understood the relationship between the two. Nevertheless, she still found it hard to imagine how Lu Chongqing had touched the heart of Xiaoxia, a fairy of the Moon Palace. After all, she had heard a bit about this Shiyu fairy these days. A high disciple of a nascent soul immortal from the Qingyun sect, famously cold and sanctified. Yet this lofty fairy not only had a deep relationship with Lu Chongqing, but also bore him a daughter. While she was curious, she even wanted to see what Shiyu fairy looked like when she dual cultivated with Lu Chongqing. I just want to be with you today, Lu Chongqing whispered in her ear. Suddenly, the two inverted their positions and began to indulge in intimate caresses. Afterward, they gradually fell asleep. Just at this moment, a system prompt sounded in Lu Changsheng's mind. Congratulations to the host for the birth of 10 offspring, earning 1 chance at the lucky draw, 10. Could it be that my grandchildren are going to be like me, starting with 10, then 20, 30, 50? If that's the case, doesn't it mean that every so often I could get a lucky draw? Lu Chongqing, upon hearing the system prompt, showed a hint of surprise in his eyes. Since he agreed a year and a half ago, children from the mortal Lu family began to marry and start families. Now, after more than a year, the 3rd generation of the Lu family was being born one after another. At this rate, it wouldn't take many years for the 3rd generation of the Lu family to reach 20, 30, or even 100. If every few dozens of offspring brought child money system gifts, this efficiency was far better than when he worked alone. Looking at Ling Zixio in his arms, her complexion pale and beautiful from overexertion, who had entered into sleep with even breathing, Lu Chongqing silently thought, System draw. Instantly, the system drawing wheel appeared. Accompanied by a golden light, it began to spin. Soon after, the golden light stopped in the other category. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring the corpse charm. Endless guileful head. The reward has been issued to system space. The host may check it at any time. An image of a hideous face with unkempt hair appeared, along with the system prompt. Corpse charm? Endless guileful head? What is this all about? Lu Chongqing was puzzled after seeing the reward from the draw. He was aware of corpse charms, a general term for practicing zombies. Like Xiahou Money's in zombie he encountered before, it could also be called a corpse charm. But he had never heard of a corpse charm that consisted of solely a head. His mental spirit stirred slightly, and he looked to the system space. Corpse charm. Endless guileful head, rank. 3rd rank. Description. One of the corpse deception sect's sacred corpse charms, crafted from a nascent soul cultivator turned into a living dead. Through various secret techniques, when invaded by heart demons, the heart demon, true elixir, mana, and divine skills all fuse into the corpse's head, creating an unpredictable array of divine skills that fear neither sunlight nor thunderbolts. A corpse charm made from a nascent soul immortal, Lu Chongsheng was astounded as he read the description. As far as he knew, most zombies fall under the category of cold beings, fearing sunlight and thunderbolt techniques. Yet this endless guileful head was truly peculiar. Not just a disembodied head, but also fearless of sunlight and thunderbolts. Practicing zombies mostly belongs to the demon path, and this endless guileful head seems to be a particularly sinister existence even among them. If I were to use this thing in public, I would probably be mistaken for a demon cultivator. Moreover, as far as I am aware, the more powerful and sinister a corpse charm, the more likely it is to backfire on its master. However, since it's a product of the system, I suppose this endless guileful head must have some sort of master recognition effect, and wouldn't turn on its master, right? Lu Chongxing looked at the endless guileful head in the system space, pondering. Based on the system's description, he guessed that the endless guileful head was no trivial matter. Aside from possessing the combat power of nascent soul, its skills and divine skills likely also posed a significant threat to nascent soul immortals. But the more powerful an object, the more strength required to control and master it. Forget it, let's just keep this thing in the system space for now and take it out when it's needed. Although Lu Chongsheng was curious about the combat power and divine skills of this endless guileful head. Chapter 652. Endless guileful head, 100 refinements treasure body art 6th level. But in his eyes, this thing was currently inconvenient to take out. After all, such objects could only be used when he faced danger, and only if it wouldn't expose the situation. If used under normal circumstances, it would definitely bring trouble to himself. Time flew by swiftly, and in the blink of an eye 3 months had passed. During these months, all 5 of Lu Changsheng's pregnant concubines had given birth to their children. Among the 5 children, 2 possessed a spiritual root, bringing the total number of Lu Changsheng's offspring with spiritual roots to 43. Once all 43 children reached adulthood and became cultivators, the number of cultivators in the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family would match that of a normal cultivation family. However, seeing the birth of these 5 children, Lu Chongxing became increasingly puzzled about Nangong Mili's situation. His concubines, who became pregnant more than a year later than Nangong Mili, had already given birth. Why was there still no reaction from her womb? Calculating the time, it had been over 2 years. Even for a nascent soul immortal to be pregnant, it could not possibly last this long, right? Could it be that she needed to be pregnant for 3 years and give birth to a Neza? If not for knowing that the system could not err, Lu Chongxing would have suspected there was a problem with the system. It was because of this that Lu Changsheng's anticipation and curiosity towards the child in Nangong Mili's womb grew even more. Not long ago, Lu Changsheng's concubine Xia Zizhu had taken a high-grade breakthrough elixir and successfully broke through to the 7th level energy refinement. Thinking of Xia Zizhu's spirit-nurturing physique, Lu Chongxing naturally took extra care of her, hoping that her second child would bring him a pleasant surprise. Perhaps because he was now a foundation establishment cultivator and Xia Zizhu's spirit-nurturing physique made it relatively difficult to conceive, she had not yet become pregnant again. However, when it came to difficulty in getting pregnant, Bai Ling was even more challenging. This young girl had been taken as a concubine during the wedding at Bai Lake Mountain. In the past 6 months, Lu Chongxing had not stinted on his affection for this young girl. Yet, even after 6 months had passed and the 5 aggregates proliferation method had been used, Bai Ling's belly still showed no signs of pregnancy. Lu Chongxing suspected that it might be due to Bai Ling's bloodline. He and Ling Zixiao had both checked Bai Ling's condition in the past. There was a high probability that a bloodline reversal or mutation had occurred, making her half-demon of the demon race. Under such circumstances, the probability of the 2 conceiving offspring was quite low. Lu Chongxing did not care much about this, intending to let nature take its course, to have a child if possible, and if not, then so be it. Given by Ling's current talent, she had hopes of reaching foundation establishment, even core formation in the future. Though her personality was seriously socially anxious and timid, she would become a significant battle power for his family in the future. Dad, the golden armor spirit beans on your golden beanstalk have fallen off. One day, Lu Pingon brought Lu Chongqing some good news. Hearing this, Lu Chongqing immediately stepped out of Chongqing Hall and went deep into the herbal garden at Lingsue Cliff. Dad, when I was patrolling just now, I saw that all 8 spirit beans had fallen off. Upon seeing Lu Chongqing arrive, Lu Pingon immediately came forward and handed him the 8 thumb-sized golden armor spirit beans. Very good. Lu Chongqing played with the 8 golden armor spirit beans in his hands, his face showing joy. After so many years, he finally saw the spirit beans mature. Decree! He formed a hand seal and channeled his mana into one of the spirit beans. Instantly, the spirit bean rose into the air and transformed into a tall figure clad in golden armor, a warrior. However, this golden armor warrior, compared to those transformed by the golden armor bean mother, was significantly weaker in stature and presence. Hit me with all your strength in a punch. Lu Chongqing instructed the golden armor warrior in front of him. This golden armor warrior's battle power was quite straightforward, suited for close combat as a tank, and did not possess any techniques. Boom! Upon receiving the command, the golden armor warrior immediately raised its hand and threw a punch at Lu Chongqing. The wind from the punch whistled, reaching him in an instant. Facing the punch, Lu Chongqing did not blink, maintaining a calm demeanor as he lifted his hand and effortlessly caught the fist. Strength is at late-stage body refinement level, and the hardness barely reaches the level of a superior-grade magic artifact. Lu Chongqing released the fist and mused inwardly, getting a rough estimate of this golden armor warrior's strength. But in his opinion, the greatest function of a golden armor warrior was not for combat. It was their ability to understand simple commands and instructions, making them suitable for labor. With these 8 golden armor warriors, crafting a second-rank puppet would be much simpler. Many components would not need to be crafted by himself. What about you? Want to have a try? Lu Chongqing saw his son Lu Pingon eyeing the golden armor warrior with evident interest and asked with a smile. Dad, this golden armored man seems different from the one used by Aunt Yun before, not as powerful. Lu Pingon commented. He had also witnessed the might of the golden armor bean mother on the day Xiahou Money had arrived. He could clearly feel that although this warrior looked similar, its aura was significantly weaker. Yes, the golden armor warrior you saw was transformed by the bean mother. This golden armor warrior is merely transformed from a spirit bean produced by the bean mother, equivalent to a late-stage body refinement cultivator. If you are interested, you can spar with it and see for yourself, Lu Chongqing said. Although his son Lu Pingon had only the strength of the 3rd-level energy refinement, he possessed the martial prowess of an innate great-grandmaster. Late-stage body refinement? Great. Hearing this, Lu Pingon immediately nodded, raring to go as he waved at the golden armor warrior. Come on, you silly thing. Don't you see where this is? This is the herbal garden. What if you damage the spiritual medicines? Lu Chongqing, seeing his son behaving this way, gave him a smack on the head, chiding him. Subsequently, he walked out of the herbal garden with Lu Pingon to an open field, signifying for the golden armor warrior to attack Lu Pingon. Bang! The golden armor warrior burst toward Lu Pingon like a cannonball. Chapter 653. Endless Guileful Head, 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art 6th Level. Well done! Upon seeing this, Lu Pingon stepped forward, his fist surging with blood and vigor as he threw a punch. Bang! Dash as they collided. Lu Pingon was forced to step back repeatedly, leaving deep footprints with each step. But he was undaunted, excitement shining in his eyes. He pushed off with his foot, leaped into the air, and continued to throw punches at the golden armor warrior. His punches were ferocious, one after another, with the sound of wind howling and accompanied by the echoes of thunderous roars like those of tigers and leopards. The golden armor warrior faced Lu Pingan's onslaught without dodging or evading, employing a rigid style of fighting that exchanged blow for blow. Even though it was stronger than Lu Pingan in both body and strength, it couldn't gain any advantage. Secret technique, primordial chaos extreme. At that moment, true chi surged within Lu Pingan's body, his muscles bulging as his fists struck out like dragons emerging from the abyss, bombarding the golden armor warrior and forcing it to retreat step by step. Not bad at all. Lu Chongqing couldn't help but smile as he watched the scene unfold. Honestly, he truly didn't know the extent of his own son's strength. While the golden armor warrior's fighting style was somewhat stiff and rigid, Lu Pingan's combat awareness and technique were indeed on point. Chick! Lu Chongsheng channeled mana into the remaining 7 golden armor spirit beans in his hand, causing them to join the battle. Dad, what are you doing? Just as Lu Pingan was getting into the spirit of the fight, he saw this and immediately changed expression, shouting out loud. He was able to suppress the golden armor warrior in front of him purely through technique. But with a single pair of fists, how could he deal with 7 at once? If all 7 joined the fight, he would be done for today. I'm just adding a bit of difficulty for you, Lu Chongqing said with a laugh and, after thinking it over, only allowed 2 golden armor warriors to join the fight while the remaining 5 watched from the sidelines. Suddenly, 3 golden armor warriors attacked Lu Pingan in unison. Facing such a siege, Lu Pingan soon became overwhelmed and started to struggle. After all, the combat method of the golden armor warriors bore an aspect of exchanging injury for injury, one force subduing 10 meetings. With 3 acting together, even with superior martial skills, it was hard to cope. Stop! Seeing this, Lu Chongqing immediately ordered the golden armor warriors to halt. He took out a rejuvenation insignia from his storage bag and applied it to Lu Pingan, dissipating his bruising and fist injuries, while praising, "Not bad. Pingan, you have good talent in martial body refinement. Once you break through the middle stage of chi refinement, your father will teach you body refining techniques, and then you can practice magical dual cultivation." Lu Chongqing said this. Body refining techniques? Dad, doesn't the purple true solar scripture cultivating count as a body refining technique? Lu Pingan asked with some surprise upon hearing this. Heh, that's hardly a body refining technique. You'll understand once you break through the middle stage of chi refinement. Lu Chongsheng chuckled softly, planning to teach Lu Pingan the 100 refinements treasure body art once he broke through the middle stage of chi refinement. Having said that, he recollected all the golden armor warriors, transforming them back into golden armor spirit beans. Seeing his son Lu Pingan looking enviously at the spirit beans in his hand, Lu Chongqing smiled and said, "I'll give you a few from the second batch. Don't worry about it for now." "Thank you, father." Lu Pingan scratched his head and revealed a simple, honest smile. "Keep an eye on that golden armor bean mother, and let me know if anything happens." Lu Chongqing patted Lu Pingan on the shoulder, then transformed into an escape light and returned to Chongqing Hall. Upon arriving at the hall, he immediately went to a side hall to study the forging of golden armor warrior puppets. Through his divine sense, he conveyed his requirements to the 8 golden armor warriors, instructing them to start work. Clang, clang, clang dash in no time, the 8 golden armor warriors got to work. The process of puppet crafting is roughly divided into 6 steps: refining, smelting, molding, assembling, fusion formation, and inscription. The golden armor warriors can perform refining, molding, assembling, and inscription. However, refining consumes a significant amount of energy for the golden armor warriors. It's feared that after refining the material for a single component, the energy of a golden armor warrior will be nearly depleted. And having golden armor warriors perform molding and assembling seems somewhat wasteful. So, the most suitable task for the golden armor warriors turns out to be the high-difficulty job of inscription. As long as I convey the necessary inscription steps through my divine sense, the golden armor warriors can replicate them precisely as per my instructions. After half a day, Lu Chongqing had a rough understanding of the puppet forging capabilities of the Golden Armor Warriors. Previously, he thought of using the Golden Armor Warriors for the most basic manual labor. Now, he realized they could be treated like CNC robots, capable of handling the most delicate and core components. With this, I can make some adjustments to my puppet factory idea, Lu Chongqing mused. Right afterward, he went to the puppet workshop at the foot of Baiyun Peak. The workshop was still in its early stages, staffed only by Lu Xianji, 8 cultivators, and more than a dozen mortals. Under Lu Xianzi's direction, they began working on Lu Changsheng's concept of a puppet factory assembly line, jointly crafting puppets. Greetings, Mountain Master. Father. Seeing Lu Chongqing arrive, everyone respectfully greeted him. Xianji, come over here. Lu Chongqing called out to his son, Lu Xianji. Yes, father. Upon hearing this, Lu Xianji immediately followed Lu Chongqing into a side hall. Xianji, do you have any unfinished puppets that haven't been inscribed yet? Lu Chongqing inquired. I do. Please wait a moment, father. Lu Xianji responded, promptly bringing over a beast-shaped puppet. This was just an ordinary first-grade low-quality puppet, used by cultivators for carrying things around or for keeping watch, cannon fodder at most. There wasn't much of a market for them, and they didn't make much money. They were purely practice material. Chapter 654. Endless Guileful Head, 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art 6th Level. _4 Lu Chongqing took out a spiritual bean, infused it with mana, and turned it into a golden armor warrior. He conveyed the inscription with his divine sense and handed over the spiritual pattern carving knife to it. Instantly, the golden armor warrior took the spiritual pattern carving knife and went forward to inscribe on the beast-shaped puppet. This? Lu Xianji immediately showed a look of surprise in his eyes upon seeing this scene. This golden armor warrior can follow commands and do some simple tasks, such as refining materials, forging parts, and inscribing formations. Xianji, I want you to mainly study puppet assembly and spiritual patterns in your daily research. You can now omit the inscription part and focus on the big picture, carrying out fusion formation. For the spiritual patterns, you can directly assign them to the Golden Armor Warrior to do, Lu Chongqing said aloud. His idea for the puppet factory was to design the puppets himself, providing blueprints and steps. The apprentices and workers of the factory would carry out the refining, molding, and assembly, and then his own family would handle the fusion formation and inscription. But now, with the Golden Armor Warrior, in his view, he could entirely delegate the highly challenging task of inscribing to the Golden Armor Warrior. Yes, father. Upon hearing this, Lu Xianji looked at the golden armor puppet and nodded in agreement. You keep this Golden Armor Warrior. This is how to use the Golden Armor Spirit Bean. You can control it to inscribe spiritual patterns in your everyday work. Notify me when you can build avian puppets. If this Golden Armor Warrior runs out of energy, go find your older brother and let him plant the spiritual bean at Lingsue Cliff for a few days. Lu Chongqing explained to Lu Xianji how to use the Golden Armor Spirit Bean and spoke out loud. He gave his son 3 blueprints of varying difficulty levels for them to practice and attempt to build. Yes, father, your son will certainly not disappoint you. Lu Xianzi's face showed excitement and he spoke earnestly. He never expected his own father would entrust him with such a valuable Golden Armor Warrior. When Xiahou Money came before, he saw his family's Golden Armor Warrior suppress Xiahou Money's zombie-like creatures. Aware of the preciousness of such a Golden Armor Warrior, this also made him realize the great expectations his father had for the puppet factory. Okay, work hard and strive to make the puppet factory our family's first profitable industry. Lu Chongqing patted his son's shoulder and said, although the puppet factory was still in its integration phase, hardly making any money, as long as they could produce a steady output of first-grade, middle-grade puppets and efficiency improved, they were nearly at the point of making a profit. If they could steadily produce first-grade, high-quality puppets, it would be considered a decent industry. Yes, Lu Xianji nodded firmly. He knew if he really could achieve what his father said, the family's puppets could form a profitable industrial chain. After finishing his instructions to Lu Xianji, Lu Chongqing returned to Chongqing Hall. letting the remaining 7 golden armor warriors continue working, forging parts for him. 2 months later, Changxing Hall inside the closed-door cultivation chamber. Boom, boom, boom. The figure of Lu Changsheng was seated in a meditative posture, his blood and qi surging tumultuously within him like volcanic eruptions and roaring floods, echoing within the chamber, resonating with a clang that persisted for a long time. If it weren't for the special material of the chamber walls and the inscribed formations, the entire chamber might have collapsed from such resonant sound waves. 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, 6th level. Lu Changxing opened his eyes, his body looking as if it were cast from molten gold, dazzling and fierce, filling his whole being with a strong and oppressive vitality. He clenched his fists, his essence surging, blood qi gushing, and treasure light circulating, filled with a strong sense of power. Clang! Lu Changxing took out a superior magic artifact from his storage bag and chopped down on his arm, leaving only a faint white mark. Then he pulled out a lower-grade spiritual artifact from the storage bag, chopping lightly and leaving a faint white mark before chopping down fiercely again. Seeing that it still only left a faint reddish mark, Lu Changsheng's face showed a trace of satisfaction. Now I can withstand a spiritual artifact with my bare hands without trouble, Lu Changsheng murmured to himself. He thought about how one day if a Foundation establishment cultivator made a move on him, and a spiritual flying sword came killing towards him, he could merely resist the spiritual artifact with his bare hands, an image simply too stylish. Now that the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art has broken through to the 6th level, my speed of refining the 9 Treasure Jade Rui has also increased. In at most 1 year, I will be able to refine this 9 Treasure Jade Rui into my life-bound treasured bone. Lu Changxing placed his hand on his chest, his eyes bright and full of anticipation. Once the life-bound treasured bone was formed, he would gain 9 innate divine abilities. By then, the situation with Ling Zixiao could be greatly alleviated. Chapter 655. Twin 4th Grade Spiritual Roots. The 3rd Spiritual Body Descendant. _1 Several days later, Lu Changxing consolidated his breakthrough from the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art and walked out of Changxing Hall feeling refreshed and clear-headed. Standing atop by Yun Peak, he gazed into the distance and saw vast ripples of green water. Many fishermen were fishing in Bai Shui Lake. In the Lingtian district, the mutton-fat jade-like yume rice shimmered and sparkled under the sunlight with its glossy color. 180 mu of Bai Shui rice was like budding green lotuses, gently swaying in the spiritual fields. From afar, he could see Ling Zixiao and Master Mo busy with several array masters, still working on the Great Formation. Transforming into a streak of light, Lu Changxing headed to his own Lingtian district to inspect it. Mountain Master! Mountain Master! Mountain Master! In the Lingtian district's shed, a sallow-faced, emaciated middle-aged man in his 30s stepped forward with several old farmers to greet him. This yume rice looks like it's about ready to mature, right? Lu Changxing examined the pearly white yume rice in the field and turned to the middle-aged man, asking aloud. Reporting to the Mountain Master, the yume rice needs to display faint patterns on the surface before it's fully ripe. There's about a month left before it's completely mature. The yellow-faced middle-aged man, named Luo Jianghe, was a spirit plant farmer, appointed by Lu Miaoyun as the manager of the spiritual fields. Not bad. Lu Changxing nodded, having inspected the yume rice a while longer. Then he looked at the Bai Shui rice and inquired, how much longer until the Bai Shui rice matures? He remembered that the cultivation information provided by the Yu family stated that when the pouches bloomed like lotuses, the rice would be mature. Reporting to the Mountain Master, Bai Shui rice matures once every 2.5 years. There is about half a year left until its maturity, Luo Jianghe replied. Take good care of them. When the harvest comes, you'll be rewarded as you deserve. After inspecting the Lingtian district for a while, Lu Changxing encouraged Luo Jianghe with a few words and then headed towards his own talisman workshop. After more than half a year of education, the theoretical school of Bai Lake Mountain was gradually moving from theory to practice. In addition to the puppet workshop managed by Lu Xianji, there was also a talisman workshop and a wine brewing workshop. This talisman workshop was not necessarily about talisman masters creating talismans. The main activity was producing talisman paper and spiritual ink. Mountain Master! Mountain Master! Upon seeing Lu Chongqing arrive, the working cultivators and laborers busy at the workshop greeted him respectfully. Lu Chongqing nodded his head to signal them to continue. Husband, what brings you here? Not far away, Chu Jinjin was instructing their daughter Lu Caizhen in the making of talisman paper. Seeing Lu Chongqing, she greeted him with a smile on her face. Having had some exposure to talisman paper making on Qingzhou Mountain, she often visited the talisman paper workshop to watch and help with producing talisman paper and spiritual ink. I had some free time and thought I'd come have a look, Lu Chongqing said to Chu Jinjin, then immediately turned his attention to his daughter Lu Caizhen, who was making talisman paper. The manufacturing of ordinary talisman paper was quite simple. In essence, it involved crushing spiritual materials and then boiling them, continuously purifying them with purification technique to remove impurities, and finally casting spirit infusion technique on the semi-finished talisman paper to imbue it with spiritual patterns. The difficulty of this process lay in the proportioning of spiritual materials, the control of the boiling time, and proficiency in the spirit infusion technique. As a second-grade talisman master, Lu Chongqing was very clear about these methods, and he had even invited 2 experienced masters from Qingzhou Mountain to provide guidance. Caizhen, that's enough, Lu Chongqing said to his daughter, who was seriously focusing on the big pot and casting the purification technique. In a gentle voice, Daddy? Lu Caizhen finally let out a long breath and wiped the sweat from her brow. She had been brought over by her mother and was not familiar with the process yet, feeling a bit nervous. How do you feel about it? Lu Chongqing asked his daughter. It's a bit boring, Lu Caizhen pouted. Being bored is a good sign. There's nothing fun about this kind of thing. Lu Chongqing laughed, hearing her response, then affectionately ruffled his daughter's hair and said warmly, but mother insisted on bringing me here to find me something to do. Lu Caizhen complained with a pout. Your mother just doesn't want you to be bored at home all the time. In a while, once the spirit bees you wanted arrive, you can try raising them for fun, Lu Chongqing said with a smile. His daughter showed a 29% talent for beast taming. She was not interested in fish breeding but had expressed a desire to keep bees. In the beast taming heritage he had obtained from Meng Xiaochan, there were several methods for rearing spirit bees. Accordingly, Lu Chongqing indulged her desire and got the Ji family to purchase various types of spirit bees for his daughter to enjoy rearing. Thank you, Daddy. Lu Caizhen beamed at the news. Humph. Keep spoiling her, Chu Jinjin remarked with a feigned huff upon seeing this. My Caizhen is so sensible. How could I not spoil her? And my Jinjin is the same as your husband. I'll fulfill your wishes as much as possible. Lu Chongqing gently embraced Chu Jinjin. Lu Caizhen, seeing her parents showing affection, displayed an expression of helplessness and disdain, and turned her attention back to her big pot. So many people around. Even as an old married couple, Chu Jinjin still felt a bit shy expressing affection in public, and so she playfully hit Lu Chongqing. Lu Chongqing chuckled and walked around the talisman workshop, wine brewing workshop, and puppet workshop with Chu Jinjin. Currently, all 3 workshops were in the adaptation and training phase, not making any money and even running at a loss. Only when the processes were smooth and started producing according to his plans could they begin to turn a profit. Husband, in a few days, it will be the day of the spirit root testing ceremony. When Lu Chongqing and Chu Jinjin returned to the Lu family mansion, Lu Miaoyun greeted him and immediately brought up the topic. Chapter 656. Twin 4th Grade Spiritual Roots. The 3rd Spiritual Body Descendant. Logically, the Lu family only had 3 children to test for their spiritual roots this year, and there was no need for a big spirit testing ceremony. But Blue Lake Mountain also had mortals left behind by the Yu family from the past. Although many had moved away, there were still hundreds of households remaining. Most of these mortals were skilled, proficient in fishing and growing spirit rice. So, Lu Chongqing let them continue living on Blue Lake Mountain. The children who had chosen to stay on Blue Lake Mountain, Lu Chongqing also settled in this small town, letting them manage the town. Therefore, the spirit testing ceremony was not only held for their own family's children but also for the people of Hushan town. If any of these children had a spiritual root, then after growing up and being nurtured, they would also be people of his old Lu family. Just hold it as usual. Lu Chongqing nodded and said. Afterward, he talked with Lu Miaoyun about the family situation for a while. Currently, all the affairs of the family, the spiritual fields, spiritual medicine, fishery, and the 3 major workshops had managers assigned to them. But these affairs still needed to be reported to Lu Miaoyun. Husband, the talisman workshop and wine brewing workshop are expected to break even after a year and gradually start turning a profit. But the puppet workshop, Lu Miaoyun said to Lu Chongqing. She could understand the talisman workshop and wine brewing workshop. After all, these 2 workshops had help from people from Qingzhou Mountain, and the investment was not too large, giving her some confidence. But the puppet workshop only had the puppet inheritance and Lu Xianji, the puppet master, and the investment was substantial. Under these conditions, she was not very optimistic about achieving a quick profit. Don't worry about the puppet workshop. It is estimated that it will be able to make a profit next year. Lu Chongqing heard the implications in Lu Miaoyun's words and responded accordingly. The simplest way to improve in any of the 100 arts of cultivation was to practice more. So, in order for the puppet workshop to quickly become efficient and skilled, he had already invested several thousand spirit stones. However, when it comes to making puppets, there is one advantage. That is, if there is any problem with the crafted parts and components, at most they can be remelted and recreated, with only a portion of the materials being lost, avoiding a complete waste and significant loss. Lu Miaoyun heard this, nodded, and replied. She had great faith in what Lu Chongqing said, without the slightest doubt. After all, as a couple for so many years, Lu Changsheng's status in her heart was unquestionable. For days later, Hushan town. As this was the first spirit testing ceremony of the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, Lu Chongqing, the mountain master, as well as Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaoyun, and others all came to observe the ceremony. The task of presiding over the ceremony was handed over to his son, Lu Pingon. Lu Qingxing. Lu Pingon, looking at the name list in his hand, called out, feeling as if in a different world. He still vividly remembered the year he attended the spirit testing ceremony at Qingzhou Mountain under the guidance of his father Lu Chongsheng and mother Lu Lanshu. Now he had become the one presiding over the spirit testing ceremony. The little girl who was called by name immediately went in front of the spirit testing pillar, led by her mother Yu Yao, dropped a drop of blood, and then held the pillar. No spiritual root. Seeing no reaction from the spirit testing pillar, Lu Pingon sighed softly and said aloud, "Mother." The little girl saw no reaction from the spirit testing pillar, and understanding the situation, a trace of sadness appeared on her face. "It's okay, Qingsheng." Yu Yao tried to smile despite the clear effort. Having given birth to 6 children, she had already gone through this several times. But seeing that her daughter had no spiritual root, she still felt somewhat downhearted. Sigh. Lu Chongqing watched this scene and also sighed softly. He stepped forward to pick up the girl and comfort her. Lu Qingxian. Lu Pingon read the second name. Xiao Yuyao promptly urged her son to come forward. The little boy walked to the spirit testing pillar, dropped a drop of blood, and gripped the pillar. Instantly, the spirit testing pillar lit up with a faint red glow, and out of the 10 segments of the pillar, 6 lit up. This indicated a 4th grade spiritual root. This is a 4th grade spiritual root. Lu Miaoyun, Chu Xinjin, Lu Miaohuan, and others saw the spirit testing pillar, and their eyes revealed surprise, delight, and envy. Out of 9 grades of spiritual roots, a 4th grade spiritual root is already considered a high-quality spiritual root. In a cultivation family, such talent belongs to the seeds of foundation establishment. As long as they practice well in the future, they have hope to establish their foundation. Currently, in the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, among the offspring of Lu Chongqing, no one has had such a high quality of spiritual root talent before. The highest spiritual root was that of Lu Miaohuan's son, Lu Qingshan, with a 6th grade spiritual root. However, Not only does Lu Qingshan possess a 6th grade spiritual root, but he also has the legendary spiritual body, which makes his talent higher than Lu Qingshuan's. A 4th grade spiritual root, aligned with the fire element of the 5 elements. Lu Pingon, seeing this result and feeling somewhat envious, took a deep breath and said aloud, "Very good. The first year of the spirit testing ceremony for my Blue Lake Mountain Lu family has revealed a 4th grade spiritual root. This is a good omen." Lu Chongqing stepped forward, patted the boy's head, showed a smile, and said loudly, even though he already knew of his son's spiritual root, under these circumstances, he couldn't help but show happiness. "Congratulations to my husband. Congratulations to Sister Yuyao. Congratulations to the Mountain Master. Wishing the young master a long and prosperous path in the way of immortals. Congratulations to the Mountain Master. Wishing the young master a long and prosperous path in the way of immortals." The wives and villagers of Hushan Town, who were observing the ceremony, congratulated them one after another. Chapter 657. Twin 4th grade spiritual roots. The 3rd spiritual body descendant. Mother. Lu Qingxian was somewhat at a loss in the face of such a scene. He. Lu Chongqing, holding the child, turned to Xiao Yuyao and said, "Yuyao, thank you for your hard work. Having given birth to a child with a 4th grade spiritual root, according to the family rules he had previously established, she was entitled to a reward. Not only could she be promoted from 9th grade concubine, but should Lu Qingxian excel in the future, she too could rise in status through her son. My lord, your concubine, did not find it hard," Xiao Yuyao said with a trembling voice. She came from a minor qi refinement family. After her family fell, she was sold into the White Jade Tower. She had expected only grim and miserable days ahead, yet became a maid to Lu Chongqing. Over the years, aside from bearing several children, her life was extremely comfortable. Now, her young son possessed a 4th grade spiritual root, becoming Lu Changsheng's child with the best spiritual root, which was an immense surprise to her. The ceremony will continue. Wang Shu. Lu Chongsheng, looking towards Lu Wangshu beside him, showed an encouraging look. "Big pot, be gentle." Lu Wangshu, dressed in a pale pink dress, as cute as a carved doll, hopped forward and stretched out her delicate little hand, saying to Lu Pingon in a crisp voice. She had been raised by Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaoyun, and Chu Zhangjin since childhood, and was also loved by Lu Chongsheng, thus had a lively and cheerful disposition. "Okay." Lu Pingon looked at his sister and grinned. Then he used a small knife to make a gentle cut on her hand, squeezed out a drop of blood, and had her grasp the spirit testing pillar. On the spirit testing pillar, pale green and deep blue lights blossomed. A total of 6 sections lit up on the 10-segment spirit testing pillar. This, another 4th grade spiritual root. Hiss, 2 4th grade spiritual roots in a row. This. Lu Miaoyun and the others, upon witnessing this scene, had faces full of astonishment and surprise. It should be known that at the spirit testing ceremony of Qingzhou Mountain, it was quite rare to encounter a 4th grade spiritual root even once in 10 years. Now, among Lu Changsheng's children undergoing the spiritual root test, there were astonishingly 2 4th grade spiritual roots in a row. This Lu Chongqing really has extraordinary luck. Master Mo, who had arranged the great formation for by Lake Mountain, had also come to watch the ceremony. Seeing this scene, he couldn't help but exclaim. He had previously learned about Lu Chongqing, feeling that this person had no small amount of fortune and opportunity, able to even break through to foundation establishment with a lower grade spiritual root and establish a family. Now seeing that there were 2 4th grade spiritual roots in his family, he too couldn't help but marvel and feel moved. After all, when it comes to childbirth, in addition to factors like the parents, luck plays a big part. Another 4th grade spiritual root? Lu Pingon looked at the spirit testing pillar in front of him with a look of surprise and doubtfulness. He then transmitted his voice to Lu Chongqing. "Dad, could there be something wrong with the spirit testing pillar? Can't you hope for something good?" Lu Chongqing, upon hearing this, spoke to his son somewhat irritatedly. 2 4th grade spiritual roots had appeared in his own family, and this silly son actually suspected there was a problem with the spirit testing pillar. He stepped forward, holding Lu Wangshu's hand, with a beaming smile and said loudly, "Excellent, excellent. My Lu family has produced 2 4th-grade spiritual roots in 1 year. This is a blessing from the heavens for my Lu family, a blessing by Lake Mountain. Congratulations to my husband. Congratulations, Sister Miaoga. Congratulations to the Mountain Master. And may the young lady enjoy a long and prosperous path as an immortal." Everyone immediately congratulated them loudly. Since Xiao Xia's mission was to station at Bai Lake Mountain and to keep a low profile, she rarely made public appearances. This time, the spirit testing ceremony was attended by Lu Miaoga, accompanied by Lu Wangshu. Over the years, everyone had come to regard Lu Wangshu as Lu Miaoga's daughter. "Hee, Daddy, I'm so amazing. Is there a reward for me?" Lu Wangshu tilted her little head up and asked Lu Chongqing. "Yes, there is, for everyone," Lu Chongqing said with a smile, petted the somewhat bewildered Lu Qingshuan's head beside him, and turned to Lu Qingsheng, saying, "Qingxian, Qingsheng, what reward would you like?" I would like a puppet bird." Lu Qingxian thought for a moment and then spoke up. He was very fond of the puppet bird at Bai Lake Mountain Amusement Park and wanted one of his own. "All right, they'll get you one later," Lu Chongqing said with a nod and a smile. He then took the 3 children aside to sit and signaled for the spirit testing ceremony to continue. The villagers of Hushan Town were also much tenser at this moment, looking at their own children with more anticipation. Hoping to be touched by the fortune of Bai Lake Mountain's new mountain master, they wished for their children to be detected with a spiritual root. Hushan Town had a total of 23 eligible children. As the tests proceeded one by one, there were no surprises. Only 2 children were found to have spiritual roots, but both were lower-grade spiritual roots. However, relative to the circumstances, having 2 immortal seedlings among 23 people was already quite impressive. Sometimes, out of dozens of children, not a single one would possess a spiritual root. Lu Chongqing rewarded the parents of these 2 children and bestowed elixir medicines upon them. He also announced that these 2 children were entitled to start their enlightenment education at the Lu Family Academy. "Thank you, Mountain Master. Thank you, Mountain Master." Upon hearing this, both sets of parents immediately knelt and thanked Lu Chongqing. At this time, Lu Chongqing also announced people-benefiting policies to the residents of Hushan Town, encouraging childbirth. He promised that if a child in the family was detected with a spiritual root, not only would they receive a reward, but the expenses for the child's future cultivation would all be covered by the Lu family. "Thank you, Mountain Master. Thank you, Mountain Master." The villagers thanked him profusely upon hearing this announcement. They naturally knew that even if their children had spiritual roots, they couldn't compare to the young masters and misses of the Lu family. But if their own children could embark on the path of immortality and they could receive tangible rewards, it was more than enough for them. In the blink of an eye, more than a month passed. With Lu Changsheng's hard work and diligence, Xia Zhiyue finally became pregnant. Lu Chongqing couldn't help but hold some expectations for this child. If this child could also possess a 4th-grade spiritual root, his own spiritual root could be promoted to a higher grade. In Chongqing Hall, within the talisman crafting room, Lu Chongqing was in the process of drawing a spirit talisman. Bai Lake Mountain had been operating at a loss. Naturally, he had to subsidize the household expenses with his talismans. Moreover, with his reputation as a 2nd-rank, superior-grade talisman master spreading, there were often families and powers who came to purchase 2nd-rank talismans. To this end, Lu Chongqing had them queue up, selling 1 or 2 2nd-rank, superior-grade talismans almost every month. The queue for the talismans to be sold was already booked until next year. As Lu Chongqing was focusing intently on drawing the talismans, suddenly a strong and mysterious vibration surged forth, accompanied by a system notification. "Congratulations to the host for the birth of the 3rd offspring with a spiritual body, earning 1 lottery draw chance." Chapter 658. Top-level spiritual body, Black Dragon Codex, _15 Poisons Cult, Tianju Peak. In the closed-door cultivation chamber, waves of subtle fragrance wafted through the air, On the ink-black jade couch, Nangong Mili, draped in a luxurious purple silk robe, gazed weakly and palely at the infant in her arms. The newborn was fair and tender, its flesh aglow with iridescence, emanating strands of fragrance that filled the entire chamber with a sweet aroma. Iya iya. The infant didn't cry or fuss, its large eyes, clear and shiny, gazing at Nangong Mili with a milky voice. Daughter. This is my daughter. My daughter. Nangong Mili's daughter. Nangong Mili's enchanting face, at this moment, was full of satisfaction and adoring affection. Holding this child, she felt as if she were holding the whole world. The connection of blood between mother and daughter brought an inexplicable joy to her heart, radiance of motherhood shining brightly. A surge of spiritual mechanism, a hidden fragrance wafts. This child must possess some kind of spiritual body, worthy of being my daughter, Nangong Mili's daughter. Nangong Mili continuously observed her newborn, her face alight with joy, maternal tenderness overflowing from her narrow phoenix eyes. Seeing the baby in her arms, she involuntarily thought of Lu Chongsheng. Although she had carried the child for over 2 years, she couldn't be certain the child would be born exceptionally talented with a spiritual body. At most, she could ensure her child would have a spiritual root, a talent for a spiritual root that wasn't bad. The talent her child now possessed was partly due to luck, as well as the child's father's contribution. I wonder what kind of Taoist body that scoundrel man has. Nangong Mili pondered in her heart. She had previously speculated that Lu Chongqing might possess some unrivaled Taoist body. Only with such an attribute could he, while at the foundation establishment stage, use his origin source to nurture a hint of golden core charm for his true elixir. Now, seeing her daughter, her suspicions were almost confirmed. Firm in her belief that Lu Chongqing must possess some rare constitution. Humph, this is my daughter, Nangong Mili's daughter. What does it have to do with that scoundrel man? Nangong Mili coldly snorted when she thought of Lu Chongqing. She then continued to look at her daughter, smelling the sweet scent exuding from her flesh, with a glowing maternal expression. A surge of spiritual mechanism, a hidden fragrance wafts. What kind of spiritual body might this be? Iya iya. The baby cooed, lifting a small hand, melting the usually cold-hearted Nangong Mili, who gently extended a slender white jade finger for her daughter to grasp. At that moment, both mother and daughter smiled. From now on, your name will be Yao Yao. Nangong Yao Yao, by Lake Mountain. Chongqing Hall, Talisman Crafting Room. This, Lu Changsheng's face bloomed with excitement and joy. The mystical sensation that had just reached him was intensely profound, like nothing he had ever felt before. Beyond the pulsating improvement of his spiritual root, there was a feeling as if he was undergoing a rebirth. His whole body became translucent, feeling much lighter, with an indescribable mystical change. Lu Chongqing knew this was the change brought about by his child's spiritual body. To have such a noticeable transformation just at birth was astonishing. System. At once, Lu Chongqing mentally called out, bringing up the system to check the situation. Name, Lu Chongqing. Identity, Master of by Lake Mountain. Cultivation, Foundation Establishment 4th level. Lifespan, 41/286. Talents, 2nd grade Spiritual Root. Gangjin Body Constitution, Medium grade Spiritual Body. Blood Talisman Spiritual Body, High grade Spiritual Body. Flawless Heavenly Fragrance Body, Top level Spiritual Body. Cultivation Technique, 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art. 7 Luminaries Great Freedom Sword Scripture. Yin Yang Harmony Technique, 99. Mystical Talisman Scripture, Immortal Beauty Technique, Tai Shengshui Ju, Spells. 7 Luminaries Sword Radiance, 7 Luminaries Sword Shield, 7 Luminaries Sword Escape. Items. Endless Guileful Head, Lu Family Genealogy, Spirit Slaughterer, Spiritual Eye Spring, Profound Origin Bead, Book of Malevolent Curses and Fates, Luminous Treasure Tree, Golden Armor Bean Mother, Life Substituting Talisman, Coagulation Crystal Elixir. Magical Treasures. 9 Treasure Jade Rui, Oceanic Bead, Black Dragon Magical Bead, 100 steeds towering pagoda lock, skills. Alchemy, 2nd rank. Talisman making, 3rd rank. Puppetry, 2nd rank. Spirit slaughter, 2nd rank. Wine brewing, 2nd rank. Spiritual pets. Mount Sumeru Tree King, 9 Netherhound, 6-winged golden silkworm, cold blue dark turtle, peach blossom goo, bloodline effect, offspring spiritual root probability plus 25%, progeny plus 15%, family, 239. 2nd grade spiritual root, top level spiritual body, flawless, heavenly fragrance body. Lu Chongsheng, looking at the changes in his talents, was filled with emotion. He hadn't expected to elevate directly from a 4th grade spiritual root to a 2nd grade, and to gain a top-level spiritual body. His talents had been completely upgraded to a new level compared to before. In his family, the one with the highest talent was Ling Zixiao. 3rd grade spiritual root, dragon roar physique. But now, with the birth of this child, his spiritual root talent had undergone a qualitative change, surpassing Ling Zixiao. Indeed, one must breed the best, as 100 lower-grade spiritual roots cannot compare to a single high-quality spiritual root, nor to a top-level spiritual body. Now that my 4th grade spiritual root has advanced to 2nd grade, breaking through to core formation in the future will be much easier. If in the following decades, if my chi is exuberant and I father an earth spirit root or heavenly spiritual root offspring, core formation will be as easy as a snap of the fingers. However, what kind of spiritual body is the flawless heavenly fragrance body, and why haven't I heard of it? Lu Chongxing looked at the flawless heavenly fragrance body, murmuring to himself. Due to the situation with his child, Bai Ling, he had read many books concerning spiritual bodies, but he had never heard of the flawless heavenly fragrance body. He remembered the profound change that had made his entire being much more translucent, and upon closing his eyes to introspect, he examined his whole body. He immediately noticed that his flesh, meridians, the previously unblemished body honed by the 100 refinements treasure body art upon reaching foundation establishment, now had an additional crystalline quality, without a single flaw, as if they were carved from crystal. Chapter 659. Top-level spiritual body, Black Dragon Codex, and his body was suffused with a faint fragrance. A body without impurity, with all the meridians unblocked. Is this what a top-level spiritual body is? Such a spiritual body could probably start cultivation early and face no obstacles during the foundation establishment breakthrough. Moreover, some spiritual bodies might change as age increases, or upon breakthroughs in cultivation realms. This flawless heavenly fragrance body, as a top-level spiritual body, definitely isn't just this simple. There's also this fragrance. Lu Chongsheng observed the changes within his body, the fragrance diffusing from his flesh, pondering in his mind. When the time comes, I should ask Zi Xiao or Shi Yu for more information. Otherwise, unless I delve into it myself, I want to understand the full effects of the spiritual body until it's fully matured. Lu Chongxing didn't think further but planned to consult Ling Zixiao and Xiao Xia later to see if they knew anything about this flawless heavenly fragrance body. His mental spirit stirred slightly. Name: Nangong Yao Yao. Lifespan: 1/118. Talent: 2nd grade spiritual root. Flawless heavenly fragrance body. Top-level spiritual body. Cultivation level: none. Ability: bewitching technique compatibility, 80%. Nangong Yao Yao? Is it a daughter? Lu Chongxing saw the infant's image and name that appeared, his heart skipping a beat. He immediately knew Nangong Mili had given birth to a daughter. Although he was somewhat displeased that her surname was Nangong, he was rather open-minded about it and didn't mind it much. Just a 2nd grade spiritual root? Could it be that the long pregnancy resulted in a relatively mature spiritual root? So, with the added bonuses, did I advance directly from a 4th grade to a 2nd grade? But why such a long lifespan? Lu Chongxing was surprised when he saw his daughter's lifespan. He had seen the lifespans of many other children at birth, and none had exceeded 100 years. Even 90 years old was rare. Yet, the lifespan of Nangong Yaoyao reached a staggering 118 years. To think that many cultivators in the later stages of energy refinement only lived as long as that. This flawless heavenly fragrance body has the effect of extending lifespan. Lu Chongqing glanced at his own lifespan and instantly noticed it had increased by 7 years. Having undergone the foundation establishment, taken first grade, second grade, and third stage life-extending pills, and still gaining an additional 7 years of life, its effect was evident. Bewitching technique compatibility at 80%? Lu Chongqing frowned when he saw the ability aspect. The compatibility was undeniably high. For example, Lu Maiage's talisman-making ability was 56%, and Ling Zixio's formation ability was currently only 81%. But his own daughter, born with an 80% talent for abilities. It's naturally a good thing to have high abilities. However, in Lu Changsheng's view, bewitching techniques still belong to the minor arts, a third-rate method. The thought of his daughter cultivating such a skill made him feel repelled and disgusted. How could his own daughter learn such things? It seems that this flawless heavenly fragrance body, like the blood talisman spiritual body, provides bonuses to bewitching and charming skills, which is why she has such talent from the moment of birth. Damn it, my precious daughter was born in the demon path, and her mother is a big figure in the demon path. She won't tread the heretical path in the future, will she? No, I must acquire the strength to go to the 5 Poisons cult and bring my daughter back home. Otherwise, growing up in a place like the 5 Poisons cult, she will surely be led astray from constant exposure. Lu Chongqing took a deep breath as he looked at the bewitching technique, muttering to himself. He felt that his daughter's talents might be corrupted in the demon path, especially since her mother, Nangong Mili, inherently possessed the Xian Yin bewitching body and was adept in cultivating bewitching techniques. Nangong Mili is extremely protective. She should not let her daughter go astray. No, this woman comes from the demon path, and her nature is questionable. I must break through core formation soon and bring my precious daughter home. Lu Chongqing exhaled deeply, his eyes filled with determination. He planned to bring his daughter home after either breaking through core formation or when his strength was sufficient. Otherwise, what would happen if his darling daughter were to be spoiled as she grew older? By then, he could also persuade Nangong Mili to turn over a new leaf and bring her and Meng Xiaochan back home. System, draw a prize. Lu Chongqing closed the system interface, silently initiating the command in his mind. Suddenly, the system's prize wheel emerged. Accompanied by a flash of golden light, it began to spin. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Black Dragon Codex cultivation technique. The reward has been delivered to the system space. The host can view it at any time. A pattern of a lustrous jade scroll appeared along with the sound of the system notification. The Black Dragon Codex? Lu Chongqing raised an eyebrow when he saw this cultivation technique. In his view, the name sounded a bit like a chi refinement technique, yet also somewhat like a demon race technique. But whatever the technique, it didn't seem like the mental spirit technique he had hoped for. Sigh, at the moment, cultivation techniques can only enhance the diversity of my family's techniques. Lu Chongqing sighed lightly. Afterward, he looked at the detailed information about this technique in the system space. Cultivation technique, Black Dragon Codex, level. Peripheral sect level. Description. The foundational technique of the Blackwater sect. Cultivate to the extreme to transform into a black dragon. Command the winds and the clouds. Summon the rain, and control thunder. It's just a peripheral sect level technique. But even a peripheral sect level is good. Orthodox level techniques ultimately have a high threshold, while those of the peripheral sect level have a relatively lower threshold, which makes it somewhat easier for my wives and children to grasp. Lu Chongqing regarded the Black Dragon Codex, exhaling a calm breath, not too disappointed. After all, for him currently, unless he drew a mental spirit-related technique, there wasn't much difference between peripheral sect level and orthodox level. System. Inherit the legacy. Without much thought, Lu Changsheng's mental spirit stirred, activating the Black Dragon Codex, to see if its detailed content might offer him a surprise. Chapter 660. Top-level spiritual body. Black Dragon Codex. Suddenly, the practice methods related to the Black Dragon Codex burst into Lu Changsheng's mind, as if pouring down like enlightening nectar. He didn't know how much time had passed. Hiss! This Black Dragon Codex really has something. Lu Changsheng opened his eyes, revealing a hint of joy. Through the system's inheritance, he had become thoroughly familiar with this Black Dragon Codex. He found that although it was a technique of the peripheral sect level, it was much more powerful than the peripheral sect level Red Phoenix True Scripture which he had acquired. This technique, just as the system had introduced, could allow one to transform into a black dragon upon complete mastery. It counted as a technique that dual cultivate both magical abilities and physical body, or one could say it primarily focused on body refinement. In the presence of water veins or sea areas, the power of this technique could be further enhanced. But what truly excited Lu Changsheng was that within this technique lay a method for cultivating a top-level Dao soldier. The Blackwater Dragon Spirit Weapon. One would first craft a Blackwater Dragon spell restriction, then infuse the restriction into the body of an aquatic demon beast with dragon blood, and through continuous nurturing, strengthen its body, cultivate its spirituality, accumulate its essence, slowly advancing it into a Blackwater Dragon Dao soldier. This Blackwater Dragon Dao soldier had the potential to reach the 3rd rank as a Dao soldier. Even without having cultivated the Black Dragon Codex, one could still craft it. If a cultivator of the Black Dragon Codex were to nurture dozens or hundreds of Blackwater Dragon Dao soldiers, he could form a great formation and dominate the waters, defeating enemies beyond his level with absolute ease. If one could completely master the Black Dragon Codex and transform into a Black Dragon, he could even integrate all the Blackwater Dragon Dao soldiers into his divine spirit, comparable to divinity transformation. Blackwater Dragon Dao Soldier. Every 10 years, almost on schedule, a dragon carp is born in by Shui Lake. This dragon carp, also known as the young dragon breed, could potentially be used to cultivate Blackwater Dragon spirit weapons. Moreover, to be honest, the red blood carp and blue blood carp also contain a trace amount of dragon blood in their bodies, which could be tried in cultivating Dao soldiers. Even if that doesn't work out, with the unparalleled environmental advantage of Bai Shui Lake, I can also purchase the relevant aquatic demon beasts from outside to cultivate these Blackwater Dragon Dao soldiers. Lu Changsheng muttered to himself, filled with joy. The previously acquired 99 mystical talisman scripture also contained methods to refine Dao soldiers. But those talisman weapons, not only did they consume time and energy in their creation, but they also required the expenditure of one's cultivation level to nurture, which was quite troublesome for him. Now, these Blackwater Dragon Dao soldiers required no such expenditure of energy, only money to slowly cultivate. With the environment of Bai Shui Lake, if he could nurture dozens or even hundreds of Blackwater Dragon spirit weapons at home, it would be a significant foundation for his family in the future. However, the Black Dragon Codex has one flaw. It affects fertility as one's realm advances. While not to the point of sterility after cultivating it, conceiving offspring becomes many times more difficult than under normal circumstances. Thus, it's mandatory to disclose this before teaching this technique. Lu Changsheng exhaled softly. Logically, top-level techniques wouldn't have any side effects. However, extremely powerful techniques often came with certain side effects, such as Shao Xia's supreme forgetful love technique. But with offspring who possess a spiritual root, many who are single don't plan to marry, so Lu Changsheng would also base his decision on their wishes. Let's see what change has occurred to my 2nd grade spiritual roots cultivation speed. Lu Changsheng exhaled lightly and walked out of the talisman crafting room in a good mood, heading towards his private cultivation room to check on the cultivation speed of his 2nd grade spiritual root. He would also take this opportunity to see if the flawless heavenly fragrance body had any effect on cultivation. Just then, Shao Xia happened to walk out of a cave dwelling. Seeing Lu Changsheng, her cool demeanor showed a hint of surprise. She felt that there was some change in Lu Changsheng before her. But exactly what had changed, she couldn't quite put her finger on it just then. Shiyu, what's wrong? Lu Changsheng saw a trace of surprise on Shao Xia's face and asked with a smile. It's nothing. I just feel like, Changsheng, there's been a subtle, inexplicable change in your aura. Shao Xia said so. An inexplicable change in aura? Lu Chongqing was startled when he heard this. He knew Xiao Xie wouldn't have such a feeling for no reason. At once, he thought of the flawless heavenly fragrance body and guessed it was this constitution that brought about the subtle, inexplicable change. Just like the immortal beauty technique and peach blossom goo had each brought changes to him. Could it be this flawless heavenly fragrance body naturally possesses a bewitching effect? Thinking of his daughter Nangong Yaoyao's talents, Lu Changsheng's heart skipped a beat. If that really were the case, he felt as though he was racing down a path of billions of fairies and witches' dreams. He said with a light laugh, "I've made some progress in a cultivation technique, which might have caused a small enhancement to my aura and charisma. I didn't expect Chongqing to actually spend time on this aspect." Upon hearing this, smiles appeared on Xiao Xie's cool face. Having known Lu Chongqing for so many years, she naturally knew that Lu Chongqing cultivated some kind of beauty-preserving cultivation technique. Otherwise, there couldn't have been such a great change in his appearance and aura. Such a thing was quite common in the cultivation world. However, it was mostly female cultivators who would cultivate such techniques, with very few male cultivators spending time and resources in this area. Now that Lu Chongqing had broken through foundation establishment and still cultivated such a technique was even rarer. Everyone has a heart for beauty. Shiyu, if you're interested, I can teach you this technique. But my own Shiyu is already so beautiful, it seems unnecessary for you to use such techniques, Lu Chongqing said with a smile. Smooth talker. Xiao Xie's expression relaxed into a smile, the coldness gone. Why do I also smell a faint fragrance? It's quite pleasant. Xiao Xie sniffed gently and detected a faint, refreshing fragrance on Lu Chongqing. That's also a result of the recent breakthrough in the technique, Lu Chongqing explained. Xiao Xie did not inquire further, simply noting that the fragrance was very comforting and complemented Lu Changsheng's spring breeze-like aura perfectly. After a few words of chat, Xiao Xie left to find her daughter, Lu Wangshu, upon hearing that Lu Chongqing wanted to go into seclusion. Lu Chongqing then went to his seclusion chamber and sat down to cultivate. Time passed bit by bit. Phew! After half a day, Lu Chongqing opened his eyes and exhaled a long breath of turbid air. As expected of a second-rank spiritual root, speed increased by 6 or 7/10 compared to before. However, this flawless heavenly fragrance body doesn't seem to enhance the speed of cultivation. It just adds some resilience to my meridians and dantian. No, that's not right. It should be said there's no enhancement for foundation establishment cultivators, but for energy refining cultivators who haven't yet started cultivating, the effect is significant. Given this pace, if I cultivate in peace in at most 2 years, I should be able to break through, Lu Chongqing murmured to himself. Chapter 661. Refining the Tao Soldier, Transmitting the Method to Bai Ling. _1 After experiencing the cultivation speed of a second-grade spiritual root, Lu Chongqing then attempted to condense the Blackwater Dragon spell. This Blackwater Dragon spell was somewhat similar to the Divine Sense Attack secret technique Soul Dispersion Needle that he had practiced before. Through visualization, the circulation of mana, and the internal condensation of runes, he eventually forged a Blackwater Jiao Dragon figure spell formation. Under normal circumstances, it would be very difficult to comprehend and forge the Blackwater Dragon spell. However, with system-assisted enlightenment, it was naturally a piece of cake for Lu Chongqing, who did not have to torture himself as he did when initially practicing the Soul Dispersion Needle. As his mind visualized and mana circulated and converged, 72 ancient runes shaped by the 7 luminaries' mana within his dantian came together to form a mysterious pattern of runes. 5 days later, 72 ancient runes appeared in Lu Changsheng's dantian, creating a mystical Taoist charm. These 72 runes moved slowly like fish, forming a Jiao Dragon pattern spell formation, which was exactly the Blackwater Dragon spell. With the formation of the Blackwater Dragon spell, Lu Chongqing immediately used his mana to continuously forge it, turning it into a small talisman seed. The Blackwater Dragon spell is complete. 2 more days passed, and Lu Chongqing opened his eyes, his face revealing joy as he exhaled a long breath. He swallowed an elixir medicine and began to sit cross-legged to recover his mana. After his internal mana was restored, Lu Chongqing stood up and walked out of his seclusion cave. He planned to catch a green blood carp and a red blood carp to try to convert them into a flood dragon Dao soldier. However, the moment he stepped out of the cave, Lu Chongqing thought about his flawless heavenly fragrance body, which emitted a faint natural fragrance from his body. Speaking of which, can this fragrance be concealed? Otherwise, it's odd for a man like me to always have such a scent on my body. Lu Chongqing tried to contain the fragrance emanating from his physique. The fragrance was not intense and was very pleasant to smell. Through Xiao Xie's previous remarks, he vaguely felt that this fragrance might also have some enticing effects. So, he thought it best to conceal it if possible. There was no need to emit charm all the time. By running his cultivation technique, Lu Chongqing could feel that the fragrance of his body had faded significantly. If there wasn't close contact, it was almost impossible to smell it. He nodded slightly, feeling much more at ease. He stepped out of Chongqing Hall and came to his family's fish pond. Mountain Lord. Greetings, Mountain Lord. Husband. Daddy. Around the fish pond, numerous water pavilions had been built. The cultivators who worked at the fish farm lived in these pavilions, keeping an eye on the situation of the fish farm. Seeing Lu Chongqing arrive, the cultivators in the water pavilions immediately saluted him with cupped fists. Zhongyu, fetch me 1 green blood carp and 1 red blood carp, Lu Chongqing said to Zhongyu, the manager of the fish farm. Then he smiled and nodded to his concubine Yun Chanqian and his daughter Lu Xiaoru as he approached them with a smile, asking how they felt about the fish farming. The concubine and daughter took some interest in fish cultivation, so Lu Miaoyun arranged for them to learn here. Mountain Lord. Before long, Steward Zhongyu came with a red blood carp and a green blood carp. These 2 carps were clearly selected carefully, weighing about 20 to 30 jin. Lu Chongqing took the carps, said a few words, and then turned into a streak of light, returning to Chongqing Hall. Blackwater Dragon Spell. Once inside his hall, Lu Chongqing held the red blood carp, circulated the Blackwater Dragon spell in his dantian, and let the talisman seed enter the red blood carp's body. The talisman seed was extraordinarily mysterious, and in an instant, it entered the red blood carp's body without any obstruction, burrowing into its heart. Thump, thump, thump. Upon contact with the Blackwater Dragon spell, the red blood carp's heart seemed to beat violently. Its mouth opened and closed as if roaring, and it began to struggle fiercely. After a while, the red blood carp no longer struggled. It lay motionless, its flesh shrunken as if it had been dead for some time. Is the dragon blood too diluted? Lacking potential? Lu Chongqing eyed the red blood carp in front of him, eyebrows lifting. According to the Black Dragon Codex, to cultivate a Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon, one must first have an aquatic demon beast with dragon blood in its body. Then, by casting the Blackwater Dragon spell, one could temper the demon beast's dragon blood, enhancing its potential. This step is also called leaping through the dragon gate. Only by integrating the talisman seed and leaping over the dragon gate could one hope to advance to a Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon. This red blood carp had failed to survive this test, thus meeting a dead end, with its vitality exhausted. It seems that this red blood carp is too inferior to be used to cultivate a Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon. Lu Chongqing looked at the shriveled red blood carp and shook his head. He wasn't too concerned. After all, a red blood carp was worth just about a dozen spirit stones. Indeed, it was somewhat wishful thinking to use it to cultivate a spirit weapon. He turned his gaze to the other carp in his hand, the green blood carp. Compared to the red blood carp, the green blood carp was much more precious, valued at about 20 to 30 spirit stones. With a try-it-and-see attitude, Lu Chongqing cast the Blackwater Dragon spell into the green blood carp. However, just like the red blood carp, this green blood carp also withered and died. This is dragon blood essence? At that moment, Lu Chongqing noticed a strand of golden, crystalline substance inside the dead green blood carp. Through the Black Dragon Codex, he clearly recognized it as a strand of dragon blood essence. The Blackwater Dragon spell tempered the demon beast's dragon blood and stimulated its potential. But since the beast hadn't survived the ordeal, all its vitality coalesced into this strand of dragon blood essence. This strand of dragon blood essence could be used to concoct the Ascending Dragon Elixir. Chapter 662. Refining the Tao Soldier, transmitting the method to Bai Ling. The Ascending Dragon Elixir was also part of the process to cultivate the Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon. After all, how could cultivating a third-rank Tao Soldier be simple? The first step was to select the Tao Soldier seeds through the Blackwater Dragon spell. Afterwards, the seeds had to be constantly nurtured with various elixirs and techniques such as Spirit Nurturing Elixir, Wisdom Opening Elixir, Ascending Dragon Elixir, Spiritual Light Method, Blackwater Method, and 9 Transformations Method. A total of 9 pills and 12 methods were used, before one could finally be promoted to a Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon. This process was somewhat similar to cultivating spiritual beasts. But compared to beast taming, this cultivation of Tao soldiers was obviously more profound. This was also why small family forces had no Tao soldiers. Not to mention whether they had the methods to cultivate Tao soldiers, just the various expenses involved in the process were more than ordinary forces could afford. Although this red blood carp cannot be used to cultivate a Tao soldier, refining a strand of dragon blood essence from it is still quite good. In the future, if dragon blood essence is needed to refine the Ascending Dragon Elixir, one could extract it by refining red blood carp. Lu Chongqing took a porcelain bottle out of his storage bag and stored away the strand of dragon blood essence. Though this strand of dragon blood essence was minuscule and trivial, even a mosquito's worth of meat was still meat. However, if the red blood carp can refine dragon blood essence, then perhaps the red blood fish king might be able to endure the Blackwater Dragon spell. Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly as he muttered to himself. This red blood carp was just an ordinary first-grade spirit fish. Whereas as a second-rank spirit fish, there was a not-so-small chance that the fish king could integrate with the Blackwater Dragon spell. No sooner said than done, Lu Chongqing went to the fish cultivation area and inquired with Zhongyu whether there was a fish king in the fishery. Mountain Lord, there are currently 1 red blood fish king and 1 Bai Shui fish king in the entire fishery. Zhongyu voiced aloud. She naturally wouldn't keep a detailed count of ordinary carp. But fish kings were not only highly valuable, they also aided in the ecological growth of other carps. Therefore, after being appointed as the fishery manager, she had cultivated 2 fish kings at the first opportunity. Will using one have any impact? Lu Chongqing asked. Not really, but it will take some time to cultivate a new king, and the cultivation costs will be relatively higher. Zhongyu hesitated for a moment before saying, All right, fish up the Bai Shui fish king for me, Lu Chongqing said, nodding at the response. He knew that there would indeed be some impact, but he couldn't resist the urge to experiment right now. Yes, Mountain Lord. Upon hearing this, Zhongyu didn't say much more and went to look for the Bai Shui fish king in the fishery. As the bait was scattered, the surface of the lake rippled and shimmered, and countless carps converged. But soon, the water churned and the other fish dispersed, and a gigantic Bai Shui fish king over a meter long emerged to eat the bait. Take action, Zhongyu shouted to the other fishermen. Immediately, several fishermen threw out their large nets, attempting to catch the red blood fish king. But the red blood fish king, already possessing a certain level of intelligence, saw the fishing net and immediately flicked its tail, diving into the lake in an attempt to escape. Seeing this, the other fishermen hurriedly cast their techniques to try to stop the spiritual fish. Hey, interesting. Lu Chongqing watched the scene, chuckled lightly, and mana surged from his hand with a wave. A man-filled hand reached down and directly captured the red blood fish king in the lake. Not bad. There might really be a chance to refine it into a Tao soldier. Lu Chongqing looked at the red blood fish king before him, chuckled lightly, and flew towards Chongqing Hall. All the cultivators and fishermen in the fish farm watched this scene with eyes full of reverence and respect. Upon reaching Chongqing Hall, the red blood fish king still struggled continuously, its eyes filled with fear towards Lu Chongqing. Lu Chongqing did not pay much attention, placed his hand on the fish king, and cast the Blackwater Dragon spell into its body. Hiss hiss hiss! At that moment, The red-blood fish king emitted a painful hiss, struggle surged. Its heart thumped loudly, and a faint black luster flickered on its scales. It seems there's quite a bit of hope. Lu Chongsheng, seeing this, revealed a slight smile on his face. Observing the red-blood fish king with the Blackwater dragon spell surging through it, becoming increasingly emaciated and the black chi flowing, Lu Chongsheng thought for a moment and flicked a strand of dragon blood essence he had just harvested towards the red-blood fish king. He then took out a spirit-nurturing elixir, crushed it into powder, and mixed it with spiritual liquid to pour into the mouth of the red-blood fish king. Since there was hope of success, he was naturally willing to lend a hand. As time passed, the body of this red-blood carp became more emaciated, its form much longer, resembling more the body type of a catfish or an eel. Boom! After a long time, the red-blood fish king suddenly let out a high-pitched hiss. Its heart merged with the Blackwater dragon spell. Demonic energy surged around its body, pulling at the spiritual energy. At this moment, its scales had almost completely turned from azure to a dark black color, growing 2 long catfish whiskers, with the teeth in its jaws becoming significantly sharper. It's done! Lu Chongsheng, seeing this, revealed joy in his eyes. The red-blood fish king before him had been tempered by the Blackwater dragon spell and transformed into a Blackwater dragon fish spirit weapon. Its strength was still quite weak, roughly equivalent to a first-grade middle-stage demon beast. But to transform from a spiritual fish into a first-grade middle-stage demon beast was a significant upgrade. It seems that this red-blood fish king did have some difficulty in fusing with the Blackwater dragon spell. If I want to cultivate it, I should try to use a better breed of dragon-kind aquatic creatures. I wonder what the effect would be of the dragon carps in Bai Shui Lake that appear once every 10 years. Lu Chongsheng checked the condition of the Blackwater dragonfish. It was evident that although it had merged with the Blackwater dragon spell, it was still somewhat forced. Chapter 663. Refining the Tao Soldier, Transmitting the Method to Bai Ling. Bloodline refinement, the process of potential awakening, had left him extremely weak with only half a life remaining. But at least it's done. Next, as long as I cultivate it slowly and awaken its spiritual intelligence, this Blackwater dragonfish will cultivate the Blackwater flood dragon spell on its own, constantly evolving into a Blackwater flood dragon. Lu Chongsheng, with the Blackwater dragon fish in tow, contemplated quietly. After a brief moment of thought, he went to Bai Shui Lake and released the Blackwater dragon fish directly into its waters. With the Blackwater flood dragon spell, he could roughly sense the whereabouts of the fish and issue commands to it. Observing for a while, he noticed that as soon as the Blackwater dragonfish entered Bai Shui Lake, it immediately started hunting for the fish and shrimp in the lake, even attempting to eat the lake's blue blood carps. Releasing such a Blackwater dragonfish won't disrupt the ecosystem, will it? Lu Chongsheng's brow furrowed slightly. Although Bai Shui Lake was vast, if the Blackwater dragonfish continued to feed like this, there might be problems. Forget it, I better keep it in the storage bag for now, and wait until I've made the Tao Soldier talisman, then have someone take care of it. Otherwise, with the current strength of this Blackwater dragonfish, it might even harm the fishermen. Lu Chongsheng thought for a moment, then placed the Blackwater dragonfish into the storage bag. After all, fishermen came to Bai Shui Lake every day to fish, and his own children would also come to fish. If they encountered a first-grade middle-stage aquatic demon beast like this Blackwater dragonfish, there could be danger. The Tao Soldier talisman was similar to the beast control token. Through the talisman, one could communicate with the Tao Soldiers and instruct them in their formations. If one cultivated the Black Dragon Codex, they could even integrate the Tao Soldiers' demonic aura with their own mana, significantly increasing their strength. Daddy, brother! As Lu Chongsheng was about to leave with the Blackwater dragonfish, he suddenly heard someone calling him. Turning his head, he saw Lu Wangshu and Bai Ling waving at him from a distance. Wangshu, little linger. Lu Chongsheng looked towards Lu Wangshu, who was sitting cross-legged on the mysterious turtle wearing a fisherman's hat, looking adorable. Bai Ling was on a small boat beside him, accompanying Lu Wangshu fishing. After all, with Lu Wangshu's small frame, someone always needed to be with him when fishing. Brother! Bai Ling looked at Lu Chongsheng, Her peach blossom eyes immediately filled with joy, misty and sweet, her voice meltingly soft. After Lu Changsheng's day and night nourishment, she had become even more enchanting and charming, a natural beauty with charming bones. However, compared to Nangong Mili's demonic allure, she possessed a naturally beautiful purity, giving an impression of innocence and vulnerability that was pitiable and endearing. "Daddy, look at me. I caught so many fish today." Lu Wangshu pointed at a nearby basket, enthusiastically sharing his joy with Lu Changsheng. "That's wonderful." Lu Changsheng glanced at the basket, thinking to himself that his daughter's fishing talents were indeed remarkable. Moreover, through the system, he knew that after all this time spent fishing, Lu Wangshu's fishing skills had improved by 3%. This left him quite speechless, worried that his daughter would become obsessed with fishing all day and lose interest in cultivation and talisman making. Looking at his daughter, Lu Changxing suddenly smiled and said, "Little Wangshu, Daddy also caught a big fish just now. Do you want to see it?" Daddy, you can catch fish too?" Lu Wangshu tilted her head and said so. Lu Changxing, "Damn, how could such words come out of my daughter's mouth? Shouldn't she be saying things like, I want to see, wow, Daddy is amazing, Daddy is incredible? This little cotton-padded jacket has a leak. Hee. Since you want to see it, Daddy will show you." Lu Changxing slapped his storage bag and released the nearly 2 meters long blackwater dragonfish, saying, "How about that? The fish Daddy caught is big, isn't it? Wow, such a big fish." Lu Wangshu was stunned by the blackwater dragon fish in front of her, her mouth agape in awe. She had never seen such a big fish before. It was twice her size. Bai Ling also looked at the blackwater dragon fish with some astonishment. However, with her energy refinement late-stage cultivation level, she knew that Lu Changxing hadn't really been fishing just now. "Daddy is amazing, isn't he?" Lu Changxing said casually. Yes, Daddy is really amazing." Lu Wangshu nodded repeatedly, her gaze fixed on the blackwater dragon fish. Without a hint of suspicion, she believed the fish was caught by her father from a fishing ground. Hee. Seeing this scene, a smile appeared on Lu Changsheng's face. He thought to himself that the little cotton-padded jacket hadn't completely fallen apart after all. After chatting with the two girls for a while, he passed a message to Bai Ling with his mind. "Little Linger, wait for me tonight." The Black Dragon Codex cultivation technique, when mastered, allows one to transform into a black dragon. Currently, Bai Ling was cultivating the most basic technique, returning origin technique. Therefore, Lu Changxing planned to teach Bai Ling the Black Dragon Codex. One reason was that, given Bai Ling's talent, she indeed needed a better cultivation technique. Another was Bai Ling exhibited a return to ancestry with demon race bloodline, most likely that of the Snake Clan. In the cultivation world, snakes and dragons had somewhat similar properties. Ling Zixiao had once told him that in Bai Ling's case, if she cultivated snake or demon clan techniques, her bloodline might manifest itself to some degree. Bai Ling, hearing Lu Changsheng's mental message, immediately lowered her eyelashes with a blush, flustered at heart. She glanced at Lu Wangshu, then softly replied, "I'll wait for brother." After chatting with the two girls for a while, Lu Changxing went to the Lu family mansion. He asked his wife, Lu Miaoyun, to procure materials for elixir medicines like Spirit Nurturing Elixir, Wisdom Opening Elixir, Ascending Dragon Elixir, as well as aquatic demon beasts with dragon blood. "All right, husband." Lu Miaoyun would never question Lu Changsheng's requests, simply nodding in agreement. Chapter 664. Refining the Tao Soldier, transmitting the method to Bai Ling. _4 Late at night. The room was quaint and ancient in style. On the bed, Bai Ling's slender and exquisite ketone body was covered with crystal-clear, slippery white scales, making her appear as if she were wrapped in a layer of soft scale armor. The enticing, graceful figure was fully displayed, while her entire being exuded a bewitching and wild beauty. As her delicate body undulated, the glistening white scales flowed like the Milky Way, radiating specks of crystal pink light, resembling adorned gems, looking exceptionally dazzling. At this moment, Bai Ling was the epitome of temptation from head to toe. Her peach blossom eyes were especially alluring, misty as if drunk yet not drunk, dreamy and entrancing, stirring the most primal desires within others, making their hearts flutter. This often made Lu Chongqing wonder if Bai Ling were to cultivate the bewitching technique, she might not be inferior to Nangong Mili. Afterward, brother, Bai Ling snuggled into Lu Changsheng's embrace, like a well-behaved kitten. Her pure and alluring face blushed like the rosy clouds, her peach blossom eyes squinting into curved crescents, looking up at Lu Chongqing with a coy and satisfied expression, tugging at his heartstrings. Little Linger, Lu Chongqing held Bai Ling's soft and silky enticing jade body. The scales on her skin to the touch were extremely comfortable, making Lu Chongqing unable to let go. The two continued to cuddle affectionately, savoring the afterglow, before Lu Chongqing began to ask about Bai Ling's cultivation progress. Bai Ling indicated that she was currently at the peak of the 7th level of energy refinement and would soon make a breakthrough to the 8th level energy refinement. Hearing this, Lu Chongqing felt a wave of emotion. He had brought Bai Ling home less than a decade ago, and Bai Ling had only truly begun cultivating about 9 years ago. In 9 years' time, she was almost ready to break through to the 8th level of energy refinement, which was incredibly astonishing. He had seen Bai Ling's status through the family system interface. Under the talent column, there was only a 5th grade spiritual root. But Bai Ling's speed of cultivation could not be explained by a mere 5th grade spiritual root. Therefore, Lu Chongqing knew that Bai Ling's bloodline was even more extraordinary than he had imagined. He told Bai Ling about the Black Dragon Codex cultivation technique, mentioning that since she was in the late stage of qi refinement, she should also consider the matter of foundation establishment. It will affect having babies. After learning about the cultivation technique, Bai Ling's first concern was its side effects. She had always grown up on Qingzhou Mountain and had seen Lu Miaoyun and others give birth to children for Lu Chongqing. So she had always hoped to bear children for Lu Chongqing. Her initial inability to conceive had left her deeply sad and distressed. It was Lu Chongqing who had comforted her for a long time. The matter of having children, let this brother figure out how to solve it. Of course, if little Linger doesn't want to cultivate this technique, brother will teach you others, he said immediately. Lu Chongqing contemplated teaching Bai Ling the Black Dragon Codex, also because of their bloodline situation, making it difficult for them to conceive children. In such a case, one more such cultivation technique would not make a difference. Perhaps cultivating the Black Dragon Codex might just reverse the situation with a poison against poison approach. If that failed, he could only look for a solution later, checking whether the system could draw elixir medicines or heavenly treasures that included pregnancy. "I'll listen to brother," Bai Ling said softly, her voice tender and soft. "Good. Tomorrow brother will teach you to cultivate this technique," Lu Chongqing said, holding Bai Ling in his arms with a warm voice. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. Under Lu Changsheng's guidance and clarification of doubts, Bai Ling had already begun to switch her cultivation to the Black Dragon Codex. With her excellent talent and Lu Changsheng's teachings, she picked it up very quickly. This made Lu Chongqing look forward to whether Bai Ling's cultivation of this technique would reveal any aspects of her bloodline. During this time, through Lu Miaoyun's acquisitions, Lu Chongshang bred a Blackwater Dragon Fish Dao Soldier and a Blackwater Dragon Serpent Dao Soldier from aquatic demon beasts imbued with dragon blood. After much deliberation, he designated an area in the fish farm for these 2 dragonfish and 1 dragon serpent to dwell. Otherwise, putting them in by Shui Lake was somewhat hazardous and could affect the ecosystem. As for the matter of oversight, he temporarily entrusted it to his daughter Lu Xiaoru. He asked her to take care of feeding them while looking after the fish farm, and to notify him if any issues arose. Not long ago, through his concubine Zhang Yongwan, Lu Chongshang learned that the Zheng family had negotiated with the Su family and was about to become a vassal to the Su family. When the time came, the Zheng family would marry off a legitimate daughter to the 3rd son of the Yushui Su family, while the Yushui Su family would in turn marry a side branch female to the young master of the Zheng family. Hearing this news, Lu Chongqing didn't say much. When Zhang Yongwan first told him about it, he had guessed that there was a good chance it would happen between the 2 families. But he hadn't expected the Su family to marry a side-branch female to the Zheng family. After 6 days, on that day, the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family was officially established for 1 year. Lu Chongqing also initiated the first family conference to summarize the year's developments. Chapter 665. Year-end Statistics, Family Atmosphere. _1 Lu Family Mansion, Council Hall. Lu Chongqing sat in the main seat, with Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao sitting on either side. Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, Chu Zhenjin, and other wives and children, including Lu Pinggan, Lu Xianji, and Lu Rui, were seated on both sides. The entire council hall was nearly full. Husband. The family has a total of 1,430 acres of ordinary spiritual fields, where spiritual mulberry trees, red flower grass, green seed fruit, azure moonflowers, and white jade corn are planted. These spiritually imbued crops are harvested once a year, and we currently have 9,200 caddies of spirit mulberry leaves, 12,200 caddies of red flower grass, 20,050 caddies of green seed fruit, 11,300 caddies of azure moonflowers, and 23,600 caddies of white jade corn. 1,000 acres of first-grade spiritual fields are planted with the premium jade marrow rice, which is harvested once every 1.5 years, and all of it has recently been reaped and threshed, yielding 24,630 caddies of jade marrow rice and 1,150 caddies of rice bran. The remaining 150 acres of second-rank spiritual fields are planted with Bai Shui paddy, which matures once every 2.5 years, and are not yet ripe. As these crops were originally planted by the Yu family, our yields have decreased by 30 to 40% due to labor shortages and lack of familiarity since taking over. However, with additional labor, quantities are projected to gradually increase next year. Lu Miaoyun held an account book and reported on the matters concerning the family's spiritual field crops in a clear voice. Will the shortfall in production of spirit mulberry leaves, red flower grass, green seed fruit, and azure moonflowers affect the fishery? Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing inquired. These crops were all used as feed for raising spiritual fish. If there was a shortfall, it could impact the conditions of Bai Shui Lake and the fish farms. I have confirmed this with Zhong Yu and others. Currently, it won't be too big of an impact. There are prepared fish feeds stored in our warehouses. But if it continues like this next year, it will cause some impact, Lu Miaoyun said. All right. Lu Chongqing nodded and motioned to continue. Regarding the spiritual fish, this year's yield is 11,300 caddies, including 219 red blood carps totaling 2,890 caddies, and 86 green blood carps weighing 1,210 caddies. As for spiritual medicines, none have matured yet. Lu Miaoyun continued. The expected income from the spiritual fields is 19,000 spirit stones, and the fishery income is projected at 6,700 spirit stones. Why is the fishery income so low? Shouldn't the revenues from fishery be higher than that of the spiritual fields? Lu Chongqing raised his eyebrows in surprise upon hearing this. He knew that the fishing produce from Bai Lake Mountain was the main source of income. Husband, the income from the spiritual fields is only projected to be that high. Spirit mulberry leaves, red flower grass, green seed fruit, and azure moonflowers are primarily produced for in-house use as feed for raising spiritual fish, so they aren't actually profit-making. Besides, the Yu family had just sold a batch of spiritual fish, and the lack of carp kings in the fish farms affected the ecological balance and disrupted sales channels. All these factors led to a significant decrease in fishery income. Otherwise, under normal circumstances, the income from the fish farms should be around 20,000 spirit stones. Lu Miaoyun explained. I see, Lu Chongqing said, understanding that the income from the Lingtian district seemed high, but after deducting the costs of labor, seeds, and the 4 kinds of spiritually imbued crops, it was actually average. Furthermore, due to various factors, the fishery income had drastically decreased. In the future, we will just calculate the total income, expenses, and net profit. Then compare yearly growth or decline with the previous year and identify the causes for these changes, Lu Chongqing instructed, feeling that there was no need to complicate these matters. Understood. Husband. Lu Miaoyun nodded in agreement. She then looked towards Lu Miaohuan, signaling for her to report. Lu Miaohuan was in charge of managing the family's spiritual fields, spiritual medicines, and fisheries. Meanwhile, the income from external shops and business partnerships was controlled by Lu Miaohuan. The remaining puppet workshop, talisman workshop, and wine brewery were each supervised by Lu Xianji, Lu Rui, and Lu Chuanjin, respectively. Currently, the family owns 11 shops, including 3 talisman shops, 2 rice shops, 2 fish shops, 1 spiritual medicine shop, 1 elixir shop, 1 magic artifact shop, and 1 tavern. The main profits come from the talisman shops and fish shops. The other shops are operated externally under a partnership model, bringing in a total income of 30,593 spirit stones. Additionally, we have 3 mining veins, currently being exploited in partnership with the 100 Birds Lake by family, the Ji family from Shaojing Mountain, and the Zhao family from White Tiger Mountain, with an expected income of 1,100 spirit stones. The share from the Red Leaf Valley Marketplace is 5,961 spirit stones. Lu Miaohuan reported, holding the account book and jade scroll. What is the percentage of the talisman shop's income, and what is the net profit? Lu Chongxing asked, looking towards Lu Miaohuan. Talismans account for over 40% of the income, at 13,566 spirit stones. With your second-rank spirit talismans, husband, the profit margin is high at 40%, amounting to 5,400 spirit stones. Lu Miaohuan replied. Huan, in the future, also calculate the expenses and profit directly in this area, Lu Chongsheng said softly. After finishing, he turned to his children and said, Continue please. Father, currently the puppet workshop has 13 apprentice students and 61 workers. They have crafted 13 beast type number 1, 11 flying eagle type number 1, and 2 humanoid puppets. The total cost of materials amounted to 2,832 spirit stones. Lu Xianji stood up and reported. Let me know when you can proficiently make humanoid puppets, Lu Chongxing said. Also, when it comes to training personnel, don't worry about the extra expense as long as they have potential in this area, he added. Chapter 666. Year-End Statistics, Family Atmosphere. Lu Chongxing nodded and then said, Beast number 1, bird number 1, humanoid number 1, were the 3 blueprints he provided to Lu Xianji, instructing him to bring people up to speed on them. The follow-up plan was to continuously upgrade these puppets and create advanced models. Yes, father. Lu Xianji bowed respectfully and then sat down. Standing to the side, his daughter Lu Rui got up and said crisply, Daddy, the main business of the talisman-making factory currently revolves around subcontracting work to produce ordinary talisman paper and spirit ink for Qingzhou Mountain. This year, we produced a total of 962 sheets of ordinary talisman paper and 115 boxes of spirit ink, earning a total of 63 spirit stones. Haha, not bad, to have made money in the first year. Lu Chongxing couldn't help but laugh cheerfully when he heard this. However, if labor and production costs were deducted, there was actually no profit and in fact it was operating at a loss. Father, the winemaking workshop produced 950 caddies of white jade wine and 460 caddies of spirit mulberry wine this year. These drinks used up 4,920 caddies of white jade rice and 2,100 caddies of spirit mulberry leaves, with the remaining ingredients costing a total of 863 spirit stones. If all the alcohol was sold, the expected revenue would be 1,400 spirit stones. At that moment, Lu Chuanjin reported, Not bad. Next year we should be able to break even and start making a profit. Lu Chongsheng nodded in approval upon hearing Lu Quanzhen's words. Husband, the family currently has 241 members, including 3 foundation establishment cultivators, 3 at the late stage of qi refinement, 20 at the middle stage of qi refinement, and 12 at the early stage of qi refinement. According to family rules, for the birth of newborns, the family provides encouragement. This year, 31 newborns have been born in the family. Xiao Yueru said aloud. The duties she was responsible for were relatively simple, involving the management of family juniors' conditions, providing rewards for family concubines and children. Her main focus currently was distributing rewards for newborns. Not bad. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly. Out of the 33 newborns, besides the 8 that were his own, the remaining 25 were all from the third generation of the Lu family. Through the system, he knew that none of these 25 individuals possessed a spiritual root. He wasn't too concerned about this. After all, aside from Lu Xianji, none of his children had a spiritual root. The chances of giving birth to offspring with a spiritual root were incredibly slim. In fact, once the offspring reached 20, the system ceased to provide any child money, leaving Lu Chongqing feeling slightly disappointed. He had thought he could earn a substantial amount of child money through his children. This year, the family's profit was 54,688 spirit stones. After everyone had finished reporting, Ling Zixiao, holding a jade scroll and looking graceful and dignified, began to speak. Her first sentence instantly surprised everyone present, as they had not expected the family's profit to be so high this year. Aside from talismans, fishery products, mines, shop rentals, and marketplace fees, the primary income came from the sale of assets, garnering 31,500 spirit stones. Ling Zixiao continued, "This year, the family expenditure was 80,649 spirit stones. This includes one purchase of the Ji family spirit land which cost 16,000 spirit stones, tribute to the Qingyun sect at 12,000 spirit stones, family members' salaries and rewards at 12,760 spirit stones. The family guest elders' offerings amounted to 1,200 spirit stones, and recruiting apprentices, spiritual farmers, and fishermen amounted to a total of 123 people, altogether costing 1,839 spirit stones. In terms of family construction, the Great Formation cost 24,891 spirit stones. The fisheries cost 1,561 spirit stones. The spiritual medicine cost 2,300 spirit stones. The workshops cost 3,692 spirit stones. External purchases cost 1,251 spirit stones, and social interactions cost 3,152 spirit stones. Ling Zixiao spoke in a clear and melodious voice, calmly and elegantly. "Hiss! We spent so much this year. We lost over 10,000 spirit stones. If it weren't for the sale of assets, wouldn't we have lost over 50,000? This. In the meeting hall, all the concubines and children were stunned upon hearing this. They had not expected that after establishing the Bai Lake Mountain, the spending and consumption would be so significant. Not only were they shocked, but Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, and even Lu Miaoge were taken aback upon seeing the expenditure of spirit stones. The costs were simply too extravagant. I didn't expect us to spend so much this year. However, it is mostly due to the expenses of the Ji family spirit land and the family's Great Formation. Next year, once the family stabilizes and we reduce overhead for labor and family construction, and as the fishery and workshops start to profit, things will gradually improve." Lu Chongqing chuckled lightly upon seeing this. His approach to spending money was always extravagant and carefree, without a notion of frugality, and never bothered with meticulous calculations or awareness of the amount spent. Additionally, during this period, he had privately commissioned the Ji family and Xiao Xie to purchase spiritual materials for his personal use. Many such transactions did not go through the family's ledger. Otherwise, the expenditure would have been even more exaggerated. Of course, this year I made quite a sum selling second-rank talismans, but that income also went into my private coffers. You all should strive harder, too. The wealth I have accumulated over the years is almost depleted. If we keep incurring losses, the family will struggle to function with such a deficit." Lu Chongqing turned to his children Lu Pingon, Lu Xianji, Lu Rui, and others as he continued. "Father, the family is currently in the initial stages of development, and there are many areas where money is needed. We siblings are not yet able to create a stable income. You may consider adjusting and reducing the family's expenses until the family stabilizes and gradually becomes profitable, after which we can readjust." Chapter 667. Year-End Statistics, Family Atmosphere. At this moment, Lu Chuanjin stood up, his expression serious, and looked towards Lu Chongqing. With a slight bow, he said in a deep voice. In his opinion, although the expenses for the family's great formation and the Ji family spirit land were high, the allowances for himself and his siblings, including the concubines, were also obviously excessive. Father, I also think so. Seeing this, Lu Pingon quickly stood up and said. He knew that this kind of issue could easily upset his other brothers and sisters or concubines, so as the eldest brother, he spoke up to take some of the pressure off Lu Chuanjin. Witnessing this, a few more children stood up and said the same. Well, maintain the status quo for this year. If the family is still running at a severe loss next year, with expenses exceeding income, I will consider this matter. Lu Chongqing raised his hand, indicating for everyone to sit down, and proceeded to say, Miaoyun, next year's main expenditures should be on talent development, especially in puppetry and wine brewing. We can increase the recruitment and training of talents in these areas. As for alchemy, talisman making, and formation, these fields require precision rather than quantity. We will train those within the family who have the ability, and if there is nobody talented in these areas, we don't need to force it. Lu Chongqing addressed Lu Miaoyun. In his view, relying solely on spiritual fields and fisheries, as well as the medicinal herb gardens, was certainly inadequate. These three could only be considered primary industries, forming the basis for by Lake Mountain. To earn money, it was necessary to depend on secondary industry manufacturing. Within Lu Changsheng's plan, once the secondary industries like puppetry and wine brewing were on a stable footing and turned profitable, it would be about time to allow his children to venture out. Start expanding through the Red Leaf Valley Market and the family's current shops, and begin to branch out into the tertiary industry through their revenue. Yes, my husband, Lu Miaoyun responded, nodding at his words. This family meeting was primarily to ensure that the concubines and children had a general understanding of the family's current situation. Otherwise, when it came to the family's overall arrangements, Lu Miaoyun was already well aware. All right, does anyone have anything to say? Any suggestions or ideas for the family? Feel free to speak up. Lu Chongqing looked towards his concubines and children and said, Father, I have something to say. Lu Chuanjin stood up, bowed, and said. He stated that the current situation of the family was somewhat lax and casual, with all the children choosing their studies and tasks at will. This was normal, but the family should have regulations, requiring that after breaking through to the 4th level of energy refinement or reaching a certain age, one should start contributing to the family. Especially since the family was newly established and expenses exceeded income, it was even more necessary for the family's children to work and contribute to the family. After all, with spiritual fields, fisheries, and spiritual medicines inside, and stores and mines outside, there were many tasks that could be arranged. Lu Chongqing looked at his son. There was nothing wrong with what he said. However, he hadn't given much thought to the harmony between brothers and sisters. After all, the family had quite a few children, as Lu Chuanjin described, with mediocre spiritual root talent who did not take cultivation or tasks seriously. Chuanjin, you do have a point in this matter. However, it's only been a little over a year since the Xiahou money incident, and there might still be other Xiahou remnants watching our family, so let's put the matter of going out on hold for the moment. As for the arrangement of internal affairs within the family, Lu Chongqing, turning to Lu Miaoyun, continued, Yuner, for family children who are 16 years old and have not yet breached the 4th level of energy refinement, arrange tasks for them. These tasks will not only count towards family contribution but also be assessed annually to decide the family's allowance for the next year. Since Lu Chuanjin had spoken to this extent, he felt that the ethos indeed needed to change. After all, if there were too many lazy children, it would not only affect the ethos of the family and the attitudes of others but would also upset those children who were seriously working. While he could afford to support them, the family was newly established, and the ethos had to be kept under control to prevent any problems. Yes, my husband. Lu Miaoyun nodded and responded. Chapter 668. Family System Under 1. This family council shall come to an end here. If there is anything else, you may come to see me directly. Lu Chongqing looked towards his wives, concubines, and children, and said aloud. He was also aware that in such a setting, His wives, concubines, and children all had difficulties speaking freely. If a concubine raised an issue related to the family system, it would reflect poorly on him as the head of the household and as a father, and on the aunts for failing to discipline properly. If the children spoke up about some issues, it could affect sibling relationships and family harmony. Yes, the others, upon hearing this, all stood up and responded. After that, Lu Chongsheng, along with Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoge, and others, left the council hall. Sister Miaoge, Zixiao, do you think there are any issues that still need to be improved in the family system? Back at the Chongqing Hall, Lu Chongqing looked at Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao and inquired. He felt that aside from profit-making, his family needed to pay attention to the atmosphere and the system. At present, the family rules were roughly similar to those of the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. But Lu Chongsheng was very clear in his understanding that his family was entirely different from the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. The Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain had a history of several hundred years, and because of this, family affection and blood ties tend to be much weaker, making them place more emphasis on rules and clan regulations, whereas his own family was still everyone's family. To call it a family would be more accurate than to call it a clan. As the head of this family, he did not usually interfere much in affairs, being rather casual toward most matters. Lu Miaoyun, Chu Zhenjin, and others had also watched the children of the house grow up. In such a situation, they were not too strict with the children, not following the rules entirely. My lord, in terms of family system, I think there are a few points that need attention, Ling Zixiao said with a slight smile after glancing at Lu Miaoge. Zixiao, feel free to speak your mind, Lu Chongqing said aloud. He knew that his ability to manage family affairs was average, so he was very willing to listen to suggestions. My lord, I think tasks like farming the spiritual fields, fishery, the herbal garden, and managing the family shops, cooperations, and so on, should all be handed over to the children to manage. This way, not only will all the children have work to do, they will also get the experience they need and improve the family atmosphere. Otherwise, if we let Miaoyun and the others handle these matters all the time, it's not good for the family. Ling Zixiao spoke. Why? Lu Chongqing raised an eyebrow and asked. My lord, if Miaoyun and the others make mistakes in some family affairs, would you punish them? Ling Zixiao asked with a half-smile. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing paused, immediately realizing some of the problems. He shook his head and said honestly, probably not, at most I'd say a few words. That's exactly it. Miaoyun and the others are already responsible for many things in the house, and now they have to take on these as well. They are very busy, and it's very possible that they make some small mistake or handle family affairs inadequately. In such cases, if you, my lord, don't say anything, others naturally won't either. Over the long term, this will make the family's rewards and punishments unclear. Ling Zixiao sat down by the table with dignified and graceful bearing, poured a cup of tea, and continued to say, Now, there are quite a few children in the house who have reached 14 or 15 years of age and can be arranged to work. Failing at the beginning is not to be feared. The family can give them enough leeway for trial and error. Furthermore, if children make mistakes or fail in their tasks, we, as elders, can teach and admonish them, without causing resentment among the children in the house. If the children see their elders making mistakes or doing poorly and you don't say anything, how could they dare to speak up? Ling Zixiao drank her tea, saying with a smile. Chongsheng, Sister Ling has a point, Lu Miaoge said, also taking a seat and joining in. Indeed. Lu Chongsheng nodded. With Ling Zixiao pointing it out this way, he clearly recognized the issue. These tasks will eventually have to be taken over by the children, so we might as well let them do it now. During this period, if someone does a good job, we should reward them more, which can also encourage the other children in the family to get more involved. As for the children with excellent spiritual root talent or skill talents, they should focus solely on cultivation or refining their skills, or do some lighter work without spending too much time on tasks. As for those with no talent or capability, we can arrange for Miaoyun to find them a spouse sooner, as it's no problem to have a few idle members of the household. Besides, having more children also counts as contributing to the family, Ling Zixiao said, her face showing a light smile as she continued. Changsheng, the work done by Shenji, Rui, Chuanjin, and the others is quite good, so we can let all the children try to take over these tasks. If they do well, it can serve as encouragement and play a leading role. And Miaoyun, Huan, and the others can also then focus on domestic affairs and cultivation. Lu Miaoga nodded slightly, agreeing with Ling Zixiao's opinion. All right, I will talk about this with Miaoyun and Huan later, Lu Chongqing said after hearing this, nodding his head. As Ling Zixiao said, now the family could afford it, having enough margin for trial and error. This would also make it easier for him to arrange things based on the children's abilities, customizing his teachings to each child's capacity. Otherwise, like now, after making a simple arrangement, he hadn't paid much attention to follow-ups, which not only affected Miaoyun's planning but also failed to fully tap into the children's talents. Moreover, he had also come to realize an issue. Many of the tasks carried out by his children were determined by him and Lu Miaoyun. Over time, some concubines and children might harbor some dissenting thoughts. According to Ling Zixiao's proposal, all tasks could be subdivided and assigned according to ability. Chapter 669. Family system perform well, and there will be rewards. Fail to meet expectations and someone else will take your place. If you can't do anything right, then you'll just take the basic welfare at home. Let the family arrange your marriage, settle down early, and have more children. After chatting for a while, Lu Chongqing summoned Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, and Chu Jinjin. Whether it was him, Ling Zixiao, or Lu Miaoga, none of them really intervened or paid too much attention to the internal affairs of the family. So although the three of them talked, they still called Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, and others to understand the actual situation of the family. After Lu Chongqing expressed his thoughts, Lu Miaoyun and Lu Miaohuan naturally had no objections to this. Just as Ling Zixiao said, as the main housekeepers of the family, they were naturally inundated with numerous miscellaneous duties. Now also in charge of a plethora of family affairs, they were indeed very busy and had no time for cultivation on regular days. For Lu Miaohuan, it was still all right as she advanced to the 7th level energy refinement with a high-rank breakthrough elixir. Lu Miaoyun has not yet broken through to the 7th level energy refinement. All right, Yuner, Huan, Zhenjin, you must pay more attention to the internal and personnel affairs of the family. As for the spirit fields, fishery, medical gardens, shops, cooperative businesses, etc., there's no need to rush. You roughly divide it up and well review it later to see how to arrange it. Lu Chongqing spoke up, saying this. Yes, my lord, the women responded. After discussing the situation, they began to talk about the personalities of the children at home. Lu Miaoyun said that children in the family, like Lu Pingon and Lu Shenji, were still quite reliable. But nowadays, some of the younger children were indeed a bit more mischievous. On one hand, there were so many children in the family, and it was impossible to teach and nurture each and every one of them. On the other hand, it's also related to the family's growing environment. Back when Lu Chongqing was a son-in-law at Qingzhou Mountain, the children at home were somewhat restrained in their lives. Now, with Lu Changsheng's rise in status, the status of his wives and children also soared, affecting the children's characters to some extent. After chatting with his wives, Lu Chongqing stepped out of Chongqing Hall to have a heart-to-heart talk with his children. In his view, as a father, his main work in the family was coordination. He first sought out his eldest son, Lu Pingon. He asked his son for his views and feelings about the current situation of the family. Lu Pingon, though somewhat reserved and upright, still had a clear view of many things. In his opinion, the biggest problem of the family was the harmony among brothers. With so many brothers in the family, it was difficult to say they were close and friendly. Sigh. Hearing this, Lu Chongqing let out a light sigh. He was more than aware of the issue, not to mention being close and friendly and harmony among brothers. He reckoned that some of his children might harbor resentment due to his partiality, selfishness, and unfairness, but they wouldn't show it in the face of the family's core interests. After chatting with Lu Pingon for a while, he then conversed with his son Lu Shenji and daughter Lu Rui. Lu Xianzi's views were somewhat similar to Lu Pingan's. He felt a sense of responsibility as the eldest in the family, expressing guilt that, Despite his average talent and capability, he was so favored by Lu Chongqing. His daughter Lu Rui, on the other hand, didn't feel much and thought the current situation wasn't bad. She was quite happy. When he found Lu Chuanjin, the latter was with Lu Caizhen in Hushan town, taking 2 other younger siblings out to play. "Father, your son greets you." Daddy, why are you here?" Seeing Lu Chongqing, the 4 immediately greeted him. Lu Chuanjin and his son Lu Huaizhen were relatively mature and greeted him respectfully. Lu Caizhen and Lu Yuzhen, the 2 daughters, were much more affectionate and approached with laughing faces. "Hihi, there was a big family meeting today, and I thought the family indeed neglected many aspects, so I came over to have a talk with you and hear your thoughts. And I noticed that Chuanjin seemed to have something to say at the meeting today." Lu Chongqing looked at his children, smiling as he spoke. Turning to Lu Chuanjin in a gentle voice, he said, "Chuanjin, you can talk to me privately or use a voice transmission if you have such concerns in the future. There's no need to speak of such things in public, as it impacts the harmony between you and your brothers." Brother had good intentions, there were no other meanings. Lu Caizhen thought that his father came to lecture him and, while holding Lu Changsheng's arm coquettishly, said, "Father, I believe that it is only effective to bring up such matters on occasions like this." Lu Chuanjin, upon hearing this, showed a serious expression and said in a deep voice, "Are you not worried that your words might provoke the displeasure of others?" Lu Chongqing smiled and said, he knew that his son was mature for his age and had a mind of his own. In the preceding years, he had sent Lu Chuanjin to work under Hong Yi in Rui Prefecture, and Hong Yi had nothing but praise for him. He said that Lu Chuanjin was steady in his work and decisive in killing. But in fact, as his son grew older, he realized that he didn't really understand him as much as he thought. "I'm not worried. If they feel displeasure or resentment because I brought up this matter, it shows that these people do not share the same heart as the family and do not consider me a brother, so why should I care about their opinions?" Lu Chuanjin, with deep eyes and a composed expression, said. Lu Chongqing, hearing his son's words, raised his eyebrows, roughly understanding his son's ideas and thoughts. He continued to ask, "Then, what other thoughts do you have about this?" "Father, in my view..." Lu Chuanjin slightly raised his eyebrows and slowly articulated his thoughts. Lu Chongqing listened quietly. His son, Lu Quanzhen's ideas about the family were different from his own. Essentially, it was about valuing rules over familial affection. As Lu Chuanjin said, as a member of the family, one should share in its hardships and contribute to the family. If one lacks this mindset, it indicates a lack of belonging to the family and not considering oneself a part of the family. In such cases, strict punishment should be administered to improve the moral climate. This rationale even formed a loop. You contribute to the family, you are part of the family. If you don't contribute to the family, you are not considered one of us, and there is no need to be polite to such people. Brother, we're all one family, you don't have to be so strict. Besides, everyone has different ambitions, and Daddy has always said that being happy is what matters. Lu Yuzhen stuck out her tongue and said so. No demands. Being happy is what matters. Lu Chongqing, hearing these words, thoughtfully looked at his daughter. Upon reflection, he realized that he had never had any particular demands on his children. As long as they were happy, that was good enough. Even though he could see his children's abilities through the system, he still tended to follow their own desires in many things. He thought back to when his son Lu Wuyu spoke to him about the matters of the Lu family in Rui Prefecture. His son had stated that the Lu family disciples were bound to produce arrogant individuals who needed to be strictly controlled. Actually, the current situation in his own Blue Lake Mountain Lu family also had tendencies in this respect. As their father, I indeed have been too permissive in this regard. If we were just a large ordinary family, it wouldn't matter. But now that we've established a cultivation family, we should still resemble a family to some extent. After all, my original intention to establish the family was to provide a better environment for my children to grow up in and allow them to continue growing through the family. It's not about leaning on me alone to sustain the family and everyone in it. Lu Chongqing pondered in his heart. He turned to Lu Chuanjin and said, Your thoughts, your father has roughly understood. but such things can't be accomplished all at once. Your father has also discussed these matters with your mother and several of your aunts today. Lu Chongqing slowly conveyed his thoughts to Lu Chuanjin. Since his son had ideas, he was willing to share more with him. However, his own thoughts were still as Ling Zixiao had said, aiming for change through guidance. After all, the family's current situation hadn't reached the point where it needed to rely wholly on clan rules as Lu Chuanjin had suggested. After chatting with his son Lu Chuanjin, as the evening grew dark, Lu Chongsheng took his children to the Lu family mansion for a meal. As a cultivator, he naturally didn't need to eat or drink, but occasionally he still indulged in satisfying his palate. Moreover, cultivators eating spirit rice and spiritual meals also helped with their cultivation. In the following days, Lu Chongqing had conversations with his children, showing concern for their situations and also preparing for the upcoming changes in the family's system. Half a month later, Lu Chongqing issued new family rules. All family disciples who reached the age of 14 could apply to take part in family affairs. If they hadn't achieved the 4th level energy refinement by the age of 16, they would be assigned by the family. The family would calculate the next year's salary and benefits annually based on cultivation progress, family contributions, and moral conduct. Chapter 670. Family Great Formation completed. Planting trees. One time flew and 2 months had passed. With the new rules of the family, all Lu family members aged 14 had the option to actively apply for family affairs. Although not everyone could be like Lu Shenji, Lu Rui, and Lu Chuanjin, directly in charge of a workshop. Each person was assigned spirit fields, fishing zones, shops, and other business matters. They could also choose to enter one of the 3 major workshops to manage certain projects or select a skill from the family to improve upon. If the family school didn't offer the skill and you had ideas and the courage to go for it, the family would provide the relevant inheritance and some funds for you to learn through trial and error. In such circumstances, these children were filled with enthusiasm. After all, they themselves understood that at the current stage of the family, if they worked hard, they could still compete for a place. If they waited until the family continued to grow in size, with more people and talents like Lu Qingxian and Lu Wangshu coming of age, without a special skill of their own, they would truly only be able to serve as drones at home. Moreover, even if the children were still young and ignorant, their mothers were aware that the family was in its early stages of establishment, which was precisely the opportunity for their own children. If their children demonstrated exceptional talents and abilities, they might get Lu Changsheng's attention and cultivation. Even if their own children lacked talents, as long as they were diligent and practical, they could still gain control over part of the family's industries, which would significantly benefit their future cultivation and family establishment. Seeing the bustling activity among the family's children, Lu Chongqing did not continue to monitor it closely. He had delegated these affairs to Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, Chu Xinjin, Bai Feifei, and Zheng Yonghuan. After all, besides the day-to-day cultivation, talisman making, refining the 9-treasure jade rui, and healing Ling Zixiao's injuries, he really did not have much spare time to worry about so much. One day, Ling Zixiao informed Lu Chongqing that the great formation of the Bai Lake Mountain family had finally been completed after a year and 2.5 months. Has it finally been completed? Upon hearing this news, a faint smile emerged on Lu Changsheng's face. Since he occasionally chatted with Ling Zixiao, he was well aware of the reasons why the family's great formation had taken so much time and consumed so many spirit stones to repair. Now that he had heard the great formation was completely refurbished, he was somewhat expectant of this new formation. Both of them left Chongqing Hall and headed to the mountain gate. Mo Shorin and others were waiting. Upon seeing Lu Chongqing, they politely said, "Lu Daoist, the great formation of your esteemed family has been repaired. We are now waiting for your inspection." Master Mo and everyone have worked hard. Lu Chongqing bowed in respect. Since the formation was supervised and participated throughout by Ling Zixiao, he was quite confident about its completion. However, as the mountain master, he still needed to inspect the formation so Mo Shorin could report back. Lu Daoist flatters me. This great formation has been almost completely overhauled based on the original by Shui Qing Tian formation. Not only have the weaknesses been adjusted and reduced, upgrading it to a second-tier top-level formation, but it also has been enhanced with 3 layers of variations. As the array master took out the array plate and began to explain, he demonstrated to Lu Chongqing. Instantly, the originally faint mist by Lake Mountain thickened at a visible rate, turning a deep blue color. Besides the runic symbols swimming like fish, there was also a faint presence of thunder permeating the air. This first layer of variation is named Depths Water True Thunder. The Great Formation can summon Depths Water True Thunder for attacks, with each strike comparable to a Foundation Establishment Cultivator's hit, and the strongest can summon Depths Water True Thunder comparable to a full-blown strike from a nascent soul immortal. As the array master spoke, his hands formed a spell, and he took out a small blue flag and waved it vigorously. Boom! Suddenly, the spiritual pressure of the formation surged. Numerous blue thunder orbs appeared, and in the sky, dark clouds gathered, a massive azure lightning bolt fermenting, filling the air with a fearsome aura. This Depths Water True Thunder is more suitable for large-scale attacks, right? Lu Chongqing lifted his head and looked at the thunder brewing in the sky and commented. Indeed, the third-tier Depths Water True Thunder consumes a lot and is only suitable for widespread attacks. If a group of enemies were to invade, and the Depths Water True Thunder fell, all would be reduced to ash. So spoke the array master. Then, with his hands forming a spell, he continued to showcase and explain. This second layer is called by water current flow. It can manipulate the water veins of the lake, not only to wield the lake's water against enemies, but also to raise a layer of mist to obscure divine sense. As the formation rumbled to life, the thunder previously filling the air dissipated, and the calm waters of Bai Shui Lake began to surge with waves. Columns of water shot up into the sky and a veiling mist spread, making parts of the formation seem to be covered with layers of flowing water and mist. Using the water veins against the enemy might affect the families by Shui Lake, so I won't demonstrate too much. This layer of lake water can increase the defense of the formation by about 30%. As for the mist, it not only boosts the defense of the formation to some extent but also has the effect of obscuring the divine sense. Many array masters use techniques like Ice Skills and Divine Sense to find the weak points in a formation and break it. With this layer of mist, it can effectively obscure and make it difficult to find flaws. With the array plate in hand, the array master explained aloud. Lu Chongqing looked towards the area covered by the formation's water mist and investigated with his divine sense. He discovered that his divine sense was indeed somewhat blocked, but the effect was not too significant. However, considering that the Great Formation was not operating at full power, and that his divine sense had already reached the late stage of Foundation establishment, it seemed normal. The third layer is called Heavy Water Suppressing Technique. Thanks to Taoist Lu's quasi-magical treasure Heavy Water Bead, as the central piece of the formation, it creates a layered array, adding a kind of restriction effect within the formation. When the formation is active, ordinary energy refining cultivators entering it can't fly with treasures, and Foundation establishment cultivators who wish to fly will have to spend 20 to 30% more mana. Chapter 671. Family Great Formation completed. Planting trees. Master Mo spoke these words, allowing the effects of part of the heavy water suppressing technique to fall upon Lu Chongqing, letting him experience it firsthand. Lu Chongqing immediately felt his body sink, and when he attempted to rise into the air, it was as though he was lifting a tremendous weight, obliging him to expend far more mana to take flight. This effect is quite good. Lu Chongqing nodded in satisfaction. He knew that major marketplaces like Nine Dragons Market and Qingyun Market all had flight restrictions in place. But he had never attempted to fly in these marketplaces before. Now, the effect of his family's heavy water suppressing technique seemed to share a similar remarkable principle. To know that Foundation establishment cultivators, under the effect of the Great Formation, would need to spend 20 to 30% more mana to fly, making it much harder for them to escape once they entered the formation. Moreover, just a single oceanic bead could produce such an effect. If Ling Zixio's health were to recover and all 36 oceanic beads of his family were deployed, the effect of the heavy water suppressing technique could likely directly suppress those at Foundation establishment. Even nascent soul immortals would be somewhat affected. It was akin to leveraging the spirit vein to activate the oceanic bead as a magical treasure. Lu Daoist, this is the current state and triple change of the Great Formation. Master Mo handed the array plate and flags to Lu Chongqing, continuing, if Lu Daoist has no issues, I will return to report. As for the specific details and aspects of the Great Formation with Ling Daoist here, there should be no need for excessive explanation on my part. In his speech, he looked towards Ling Zixiao with a hint of regret. Through regular interaction, he knew Ling Zixio's proficiency in formation was not much less than his own. However, due to health issues, Ling Zixio's cultivation had declined greatly, scarcely able to maintain or fully operate the Great Formation, which was truly regrettable. Of course, there's no problem, Master Mo. You have worked hard these days on arranging and repairing the Great Formation for Mai by Lake Mountain. It is truly laborious. Lu Chongqing spoke as he immediately produced a prepared gift. Although Master Mo had been invited to arrange the formation through the Qingyun token, and all the materials were provided by his own family, it was nonetheless a task that took over a year, during which he not only repaired the formation but also arranged for an earthfire formation to be set up in the alchemy chamber, artifact refinement room, and puppet workshop, nurturing the fire vein. In such a case, it was only proper to show appreciation. Besides, it was good to be acquainted with such an array master and forge some connections. He then took out 2 more gift boxes for Master Mo's 2 disciples. Even though these 2 were still energy-refining cultivators and first-grade array masters, they also had potential and it was good to make a favorable impression. Lu Daoist is being too courteous. In these days of arranging the formation and exchanging insights with Ling Daoist, I have also benefited a lot. Master Mo gladly accepted the gift without declining. Many thanks, Lu Mountain Lord. Seeing this, the 2 disciples politely accepted the gift boxes as well. In that case, Lu Daoist, Ling Daoist, I shall take my leave. Master Mo bowed. Master Mo, travel safely. Lu Chongqing opened the mountain gate and politely escorted the guests out. Afterward, Master Mo released a spirit boat, taking his 2 disciples away. The 3 of you have also worked hard during this time. Afterward, Lu Chongqing turned to the 3 array masters brought in by Lu Yuanding and spoke. He paid each of them in spirit stones and also gave them each 2 second-rank talismans. This wasn't because he had money to spare, but rather because the family was currently in the construction phase, and it was important to build a good reputation on such small matters. Later, if he wanted to find people for tasks or to invite someone or recruit guest elders, it would be beneficial. Many thanks, Lu Mountain Lord. Lu Mountain Lord, you are too kind, said the 3. Although they were array masters, they appeared both polite and pleasantly surprised. After all, Lu Chongqing was not only a Foundation Establishment great cultivator and a talisman master but had also single-handedly eliminated 3 Foundation establishers and now also had a deep connection with Qingyun sect. In these circumstances, they naturally hoped to ingratiate themselves with Lu Chongqing and Bai Lake Mountain. My Bai Lake Mountain has just been built, and we are currently in desperate need of talent. If any of you have thoughts on the matter, you are welcome to serve as guest elders on my Bai Lake Mountain, Lu Chongqing said after the pleasantries. Array masters were in demand by every family, not only for the family's great formation but also in many other places where formation was needed. Even though the skills of the 3 were quite ordinary, merely top-class array masters, they were still sufficiently qualified to serve as guest elders. Upon hearing this, the 3 wished to decline. For their level in the formation path, they could serve as guest elders for many families. If the 3 of you serve as guest elders on my Bai Lake Mountain and contribute sufficiently, I have the 2nd-rank formation path inheritance and my own insights on the formation path to offer, said Ling Zixiao indifferently. The 3 of them immediately looked conflicted. Over the year, they had witnessed Ling Zixio's level in formation, and if they could receive the 2nd-rank formation path inheritance and guidance from Ling Zixiao, perhaps their formation abilities could advance further. Eventually, 2 of them were tempted and expressed willingness to serve as guest elders on Bai Lake Mountain. Immediately, Lu Chongqing signed a spiritual contract with the 2. The 2 would serve by Lake Villa, maintaining the family's great formation regularly and teaching formation knowledge to the Lu family. Lu Chongqing provided a basic compensation of 60 spirit stones per month, and for tasks like arranging formations, they would receive additional remuneration. After settling the matter, Lu Chongqing explained the situation of the two to Lu Miaoyun, asking her to rearrange accommodations for them at Bai Lake Villa. Xiao, does the family's great formation require any further changes going forward? Lu Chongqing inquired as he turned to Ling Xiao. Lu Lang, rest assured, the great formation situation is already completely secure. The only issue is that harnessing the water veins and lake water for the full operation of the formation will affect the ecology of Bai Shui Lake. Chapter 672. Family Great Formation completed. Planting trees. However, once I've arranged all 36 oceanic beads into a formation, this problem will naturally be resolved. Ling Zixiao spoke. Zixiao, thank you for your hard work, Lu Chongsheng said warmly, holding Ling Zixiao's delicate, white hand. Lu Lang need not be so formal. As a member of the family, I should do my part for the family. Ling Zixiao replied with a gentle smile. She had known Lu Chongqing for 3.5 years. During those 3.5 years, she had not completely fallen in love with Lu Chongqing, but her feelings had grown considerably. Especially in this past year, due to serious injuries, Lu Chongqing gave her the most company and attention. And every half-month, Lu Miaoge would come to treat her, nurturing her meridians and dantian. She wouldn't speak too much about these things, but she kept all of them in her heart. Since Lu Chongqing was willing to offer genuine feelings, she was naturally prepared to respond in kind, heart for heart. Xiao, you should have a formation to hide a third-rank spirit plant on you, right? Lu Chongqing asked Ling Zixiao. Now that the family's great formation was completely set up, he was also preparing to plant the luminous treasure tree. Third-rank spirit plant? Hearing this, Ling Zixiao was somewhat surprised. It should be known that third-rank spirit plants, also known as heavenly spirit plants, were extremely precious and rare. Apart from some secret realms or immortal sects, few powers cultivated third-rank spirit plants. First of all, such spirit plants were rare and not easy to come by. To transplant them to one's own home was very difficult. Even if you managed to transplant them, if the soil or environment was unsuitable, there was a risk of causing the plant to die, thus wasting heaven's gift. Another point was that they were difficult to cultivate. Third-rank spirit plants needed to be at least planted on a second-grade spirit vein. The amount of spiritual energy they required was no less than what a foundation establishment cultivator needed for cultivation. To cultivate them properly, it was best to plant them on a third-grade spirit vein. Will you be planting the third-rank spirit plant here, my lord? Now on by Lake Mountain, only by Yun Peak is a second-grade spirit vein. Ling Zixiao didn't question how Lu Chongqing got a third-rank spirit plant. After all, in her eyes, Lu Chongqing was extremely mysterious, and having a third-rank spirit plant was plausible. But through their time together, she knew that Lu Changsheng's knowledge of the cultivation world was limited, and she worried that he might not be aware of these things. I've always reserved a section at the back cliff of Lingtsue Cliff for planting this spirit plant. With the conditions at Lingtsue Cliff, it is barely sufficient for cultivating the plant. As for plans for Baiyun Peak, I will arrange that later, Lu Chongqing said. He intended to plant the Mount Sumeru Tree King on Baiyun Peak. Furthermore, he, Ling Zixiao, and Lu Miaoge would also need to cultivate on Baiyun Peak in the future. If he were to plant both the Luminous Treasure Tree and the Mount Sumeru Tree King on Baiyun Peak, it would severely affect the spiritual energy balance of the peak. As for planting the Luminous Treasure Tree at Lingtsue Cliff, he had asked Zhao Qingqing previously, who said that while growth might be somewhat affected, normally there should be no significant problems. If the spirit plant is not too big and you simply wish to conceal it and isolate its aura, I have a set of the celestial canopy formation that should do, Ling Zixiao said after some thought. Lu Chongqing considered this and said, it's not very large, but it's not small either. Soon after, the two arrived at Lingtsue Cliff. Greetings, Mountain Master. Greetings, Lady, Father, Aunt Ling. The cultivators and children on Lingtsue Cliff immediately paid their respects upon seeing Lu Chongsheng and Ling Zixiao. Because Lu Chongqing disliked the term elder ancestor and everyone in the family was not old, the family cultivators called him Mountain Master, while they referred to Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoge, the two foundation establishment cultivators, as ladies. Similarly, some concubines also addressed Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoge in this manner. Only Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, and Chu Jinjin, who were relatively close, referred to them as sisters. All right. Lu Chongxing nodded in acknowledgement and proceeded to the Lingtian district he had reserved with Ling Zixiao. Is this where you intend to plant the third-rank spirit plant, my lord? Ling Zixiao inquired, looking at Lu Chongxing. That's right. Lu Chongxing nodded. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Ling Zixiao nodded and tapped her storage bag with her palm. An array plate appeared, and numerous array flags scattered out, as she began to form the needed spell and set up the formation. The Celestial Canopy formation, being a simplified formation with both an array plate and array flags, was completed in a short time. She activated the formation, filling the surrounding area with a faint white glow, concealing the sector from view. Retrieve it. Observing the formation, Lu Chongxing took the profound origin bead from his dantian. Then with a subtle nudge of his mental spirit, he extracted the luminous treasure tree from the system space. As mana flowed from within the profound origin bead, a tree nearly 10 feet tall and as thick as a water tank, devoid of leaves, with cracked and coarse bark, but shimmering with a vivacious blue-gold hue, appeared. It was indeed the luminous treasure tree. The whole tree looked somewhat unattractive, making it difficult for one to associate it with a third-rank spirit plant. In fact, it appeared more like a long, massive rock. However, the roots of the tree shone with blue-gold light, brimming with a rich vitality, revealing the tree's extraordinary nature. This is my third-rank spirit plant, the luminous treasure tree, which has been well preserved within a treasure of cave heaven, explained Lu Chongxing. Although he knew the general appearance of the luminous treasure tree through the system space, seeing the actual tree in front of him, he still felt it was somewhat ugly. He thought to himself, wondering if Lu Miaoyun and the others, who would cultivate the heavenly longevity technique, might find it unappealing. The luminous treasure tree? A treasure of cave heaven? Ling Zixiao turned to glance at Lu Chongxing, feeling an even deeper veil of mystery enveloping him. Not only did he possess such a precious and rare third-rank spirit plant, but he also had a legendary treasure of cave heaven that could directly store such spirit plants. Chapter 673, Family Great Formation Completed, Planting Trees. Before she looked towards the luminous treasure tree, measuring it up and saying, "This is the first time your servant has seen such a lively third-rank spirit plant. This luminous treasure tree, every 30 years, will condense luminous sweet dew at its roots. This sweet dew, when used to wipe the eyes, can clear and brighten the vision, and also enhance spirit eye-related techniques and divine skills. Zixiao, as an array master, you can use this sweet dew in the future to wipe your eyes," Lu Chongxing said with a smile. In the midst of talking, he took out a magical sword and began to dig a large hole on the spot to plant the luminous treasure tree. Afterward, he took out several jars of spiritual liquid he had prepared earlier and watered the luminous treasure tree with it. Spiritual liquid to enhance spirit eye-related techniques? Ling Zixiao, upon hearing this, looked at the luminous treasure tree with a renewed interest. As an array master, she was already cultivating pupil techniques. If she could enhance the effectiveness of her pupil techniques, it would be of considerable help in battle, formations, and other areas. She said with a twinkle in her eye, "Then I must thank my lord. Between you and me, there's no need for thanks. However, this spiritual liquid will take 30 years to condense. We have quite a wait ahead of us," Lu Chongxing said with a laugh. He then handed a jade slip to Ling Zixiao. "Zixiao, take a look at this cultivation technique." This heavenly longevity technique he had read many times, but he thought of teaching it to Lu Miaoyun and others, so he decided to let Ling Zixiao have a look as well. After all, through their long acquaintance, he had to admit that Ling Zixiao's comprehension was higher than his own. Heaven and Earth longevity technique? Upon seeing this cultivation technique, Ling Zixiao's beautiful eyes widened in surprise, and she spoke to Lu Chongxing. "My lord, are you preparing for someone to cultivate the heaven and earth longevity technique with this luminous treasure tree?" "Yes, Zixiao. You know of this cultivation technique?" Lu Chongxing, seeing that Ling Zixiao glanced briefly at the technique, was a bit surprised as he spoke. Someone once traded me this cultivation technique for a set of formations, so I happen to know of it. Ling Zixiao nodded and said, I see. Lu Chongqing nodded upon hearing this. He had originally thought the effectiveness of this cultivation technique was quite rare, but it turned out that Ling Zixiao had a copy of it as well. He did not mind too much and spoke out, Miaoyun, Huan, Zhenjin, they all have average spiritual root talent, and it will be very difficult for them to achieve foundation establishment in the future. So, I've thought about having them practice this technique, so that in the future they might have the prospect of reaching foundation establishment and core formation. Lu Chongqing took a deep breath and let it out gently, his tone reflective as he spoke. Upon obtaining the heaven and earth longevity technique, his first thought was of his wives and children at home. Even though he had been cultivating for many years and knew that, despite having a system, he could not lift everyone up, he would still follow his original intention and help as much as he could. Ling Zixiao was caught off guard by this sentiment. In the cultivation world, she had become accustomed to the warmth and coldness of human relationships and had experienced lots of deceit and manipulation. Lu Chongqing was the most peculiar person she had encountered. Clearly a peerless talent with unmatched brilliance who, if he cultivated diligently, could expect to follow the great Tao. Yet, he lived like a mortal, surrounded by a bevy of wives and a house full of children, spending a lot of time on his family. She had seen cultivators like Lu Chongqing before, surrounded by many wives, but such cultivators often regarded their wives as tools, playthings, or cauldrons. Never before had she seen someone like Lu Chongqing, who treated each person so earnestly, full of optimism and human warmth. But now, Lu Chongqing was even considering his wives' spiritual root talent, thinking of helping them to achieve foundation establishment and core formation. At this moment, she found herself at a loss for words to describe Lu Chongqing. You could say he was foolishly devoted, but he had numerous wives. You could say he was heartless, yet he spent so much time on his wives and children. He even considered the future prospects of foundation establishment and core formation for his wives who had little hope of achieving such stages. Ling Zixiao's emotions churned as she thought about how Lu Chongqing had treated her. Even though she knew Lu Chongqing's decision to become Tao partners with her was full of ulterior motives, after more than 3 years of genuine exchange of feelings, she indeed reciprocated with sincerity. My lord, who do you plan to have practice this heaven and earth longevity technique first? Ling Zixiao asked softly, looking at Lu Chongqing. She had looked over the technique and knew that its practice required a heavenly and earthy spirit plant. And right now, Lu Chongqing only had one such spirit plant. Miaoyun, he said. Miaoyun is actually of a weaker disposition. It's just that as the legitimate wife of the family, she has always been trying hard to fulfill her role. She is concerned about everything day to day because she feels pressured and lacks a sense of security. Over the years, the family has always been managed by Miaoyun, so I thought of giving her this luminous treasure tree for her to cultivate, to spare her the constant worry, Lu Chongqing said with a slight sigh. There was only one spirit plant available at present, allowing only one person to practice. It was not an easy choice for him to make. But if he had to choose, after much consideration, he decided to give it to Lu Miaoyun. If Miaoyun has this luminous treasure tree and practices the heaven and earth longevity technique, it's not impossible for her to achieve foundation establishment, not to mention core formation, he said. Moreover, with this heaven and earth longevity technique, one can live up to 300 years upon reaching foundation establishment. With your talent, my lord, it seems likely you will achieve core formation within 100 years. Then, you can naturally elevate the spirit vein and cultivate this luminous treasure tree properly, making Miaoyun's prospects of reaching core formation hopeful. Ling Zixiao nodded and smiled as she spoke. The pace of practicing the heavenly longevity technique is related to the growth of the spirit plant. To make a third-rank spirit plant grow quickly, naturally, a third-rank spirit vein with abundant spiritual energy is needed. Yes, that's what I also thought. Lu Chongqing nodded. Then he and Ling Zixiao left the formation, indicating that he had set up an array in the Lingtian district behind the cliff and that no member of the family should approach. Chapter 674. Family Great Formation completed. Planting trees. _5. Yes, Mountain Master. Yes, Father. Upon hearing these words, everyone responded respectfully. After leaving Lingzue Cliff, Lu Chongqing went to the Lu family mansion and found Lu Miaoyun. He took out a technique jade slip and said, Yuner, spend some time comprehending this cultivation technique. If there is anything you're puzzled about or don't understand, come and ask me in Zishao. Lu Chongqing handed over the heavenly longevity technique to Lu Miaoyun and spoke out loud. A cultivation technique? Lu Miaoyun, upon hearing this, was somewhat surprised but still nodded and replied, Yes, husband. Then she inspected the technique jade slip. After a moment, her face showed surprise, and in a daze, she said, Husband, this cultivation technique. That's right, before venturing outside, I obtained a third-rank spirit plant, which I've planted on the cliff behind Lingzue Cliff. Once you've comprehended this technique, you can go to the back cliff and refine the spirit plant into a life-bound spiritual root. That way, you can attempt foundation establishment and even core formation in the future. Lu Chongqing gently pinched his wife's fair and beautiful cheeks and said soothingly with a smile. Owing to Lu Miaoyun and others' consumption of beautifying elixirs, their appearance still looked like that of someone in their late 20s. A third-rank spirit plant. Lu Miaoyun bit her lip and said softly, Husband, there's only one spirit plant at home. This technique could be given to Huanhuan's sister or Zhenjin, and Shiyu for their cultivation. I told you to cultivate it, so be obedient and focus on your cultivation. I will naturally have arrangements for Huanhuan and Zhenjin later on. Lu Chongqing commanded, his tone leaving no room for doubt. All right, I'll listen to my husband. Lu Miaoyun, hearing this, showed a smiling face and responded obediently. That's the spirit. Lu Chongqing kissed his wife's cheek and laughed. He thought about it and mentioned the matter to Lu Miaohuan and Chu Zhenjin. After all, he believed in not the scarcity but the inequality of possessions. He felt it was better to explain proactively to avoid any unhappiness later on from his wife. Lu Miaohuan, when she heard this, had no objections. She had seen all that Lu Miaoyun had done over the years and greatly approved of her younger sister. Moreover, practicing the heavenly longevity technique meant not being able to stray too far from the spirit plant, making it impossible to leave by Lake Mountain. After the family stabilized, she still intended to visit the Jinyang sect in Yu Country with Lu Chongqing to see their son. As for Chu Zhenjin, she was indifferent, believing it only natural for Lu Chongqing to give the technique jade slip to Lu Miaoyun. Among the wives at home, she could say she was the most carefree, never competing for anything and always being pampered. After making this clear, Lu Chongqing thought of the Mount Sumeru Tree King in his system space. The Mount Sumeru Tree King is a third-rank demon king. Hiding its aura won't be simple with ordinary formations. Given Zishao's current condition, it's best not to set up a great formation just yet. I'll wait until I've refined the 9-treasure Jade Rui, improved Zishao's health somewhat, and have the formations ready before releasing the Mount Sumeru Tree King. After pondering for a moment, Lu Chongqing made up his mind. Half a year later, Chongqing Hall within the closed-door cultivation cave. Boom, boom, boom. Lu Changsheng's form was seated cross-legged, with a thunderous rumble resounding within him, emanating a surge of terrifying aura. This aura filled the entire cave, causing Lu Changsheng's body to tremble slightly, as if a tiny boat in the ocean about to be capsized by the huge waves. Clang, clang, clang. The mana and spiritual light surged and tumbled in Lu Changsheng's chest, causing his face to show a look of pain. He was undergoing the final step of fusing the 9-treasure Jade Rui into his life-bound treasured bone. As the 9-treasure Jade Rui was about to transform into his life-bound treasured bone, Lu Changsheng's ribcage seemed to be forged by countless divine craftsmen, resounding with sonorous sounds. Spiritual energy rushed wildly into his ribcage at that moment. Lu Chongqing also extracted several spirit stones and elixir medicines, swallowing them to stimulate the fusion of the life-bound treasured bone. Boom! Time was indiscernible, but eventually, his chest suddenly grew hot, shining with dazzling brilliance, bursting forth with a terrifying fluctuation of aura. This terrifying force was felt by Shi Yu and Ling Zixiao inside Chongqing Hall, and many people on by Yun Peak sensed this aura at that moment as well. Huff, huff, huff. Above Chongqing Hall, clouds and mist tumbled and surged, even forming a small vortex of spiritual energy in sync with the rise and fall of Lu Changsheng's chest. What's happening with Chongqing? Such a terrifying aura. Ling Zixiao and Shi Yu both looked towards Lu Changsheng's closed-door cultivation cave, unsure of the situation inside. What's going on? A vortex of spiritual energy. Could it be that someone is attempting foundation establishment? I previously saw Lady Mayage's breakthrough to foundation establishment, which was clearly much larger than this. Who in our home is now capable of breaking through to foundation establishment? People on by Yun Peak were all confused, not understanding the commotion happening at home. Lu Chongqing was unaware of the disturbance he was causing. At the moment, his chest was heaving, and his life-bound treasured bone was gradually taking shape, shining like a bright sun, brilliantly luminous. As the divine power from the life-bound treasured bone ebbed and flowed, strands of 9-colored radiance moved through his body, making him acutely aware of a mysterious and profound power awakening within him. Above his ribcage, densely packed, complex, and mysterious runes emerged, like inscriptions from a heavenly book. This was divine skill, innate divine ability. Energy refining cultivators and foundation establishment cultivators could only practice techniques. Only nascent soul immortals began to comprehend and master divine skills. And at this moment, with the aid of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art and the 9 Treasure Jade Rui, Lu Chongqing, still in the foundation establishment stage, began to grasp divine skills. Not just any divine skills, but 9 great divine abilities. Chapter 675. 9 Treasures Rui Bone, Beast Calamity. Undersir 1 Boom. 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 Inside the seclusion chamber, Lu Changsheng's breastbone emitted light continuously, with tadpole-like symbols and bone inscriptions intertwining, deducing, and blooming. As the life-bound treasured bone took shape, Lu Changsheng's blood surged, and mana boiled and surged. Every inch of skin, every slice of flesh, bone, sinew, dantian, and even his Tao foundation seemed to be baptized. He sat cross-legged, his eyes tightly closed, his body enveloped in 9-colored radiant light, intense and boundless, feeling as if soaking in a hot spring, utterly comfortable, quietly experiencing the mystic baptism. Time passed, and at some point, the checkpoint of Lu Changsheng's 4th level of foundation establishment started to loosen. The 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture began to circulate, and the 7 luminaries' sword chi seeped out through his body, swirling around him, sharp, domineering, and elegant. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Under the immense external spiritual pressure, copious amounts of nature's spiritual energy converged in his dantian, continuously being refined into liquid mana. Boom! When the liquid mana reached 400 drops, Lu Changsheng's cultivation straightforwardly broke through from the 4th to the 5th level of foundation establishment. I didn't expect that fusing with the life-bound treasured bone could also lead to a breakthrough in realm. No, it was because I fused the heavenly spiritual treasure into my life-bound treasured bone that my flesh, mana, and divine sense were all baptized and enhanced. If it weren't for my recent breakthrough to the 6th level of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, I might have even broken through that as well. Lu Changsheng's face revealed a smile, his eyes fiery and profound as he murmured to himself. He could clearly feel that not only his cultivation realm had broken through, but his physical body and divine sense were all enhanced. The progress of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art had dramatically improved by a large margin. Meanwhile, his divine sense had nearly increased from the original 230 zhang to about 280 zhang. This level of divine sense was almost at the limit of the foundation establishment peak. Lu Chongqing did not think further, closing his eyes again, quietly sensing the changes in the life-bound, treasured bone in his chest. Time passed by. 3 days later, the divine light in Lu Changsheng's chest gradually retracted, and the brilliant light flowing through his body began to dim. 9 Treasure Jade Rui. Since it's like this, This life-bound treasured bone shall be named the 9 Treasures Rui Bone. Lu Chongxing opened his eyes, which were brilliant like stars, and lightly caressed the treasured bone in his chest, only feeling it brimming with a turbulent and surging power. Even he himself felt a bit apprehensive in the face of this terrifying power. 9 Treasures Rui Essence, Qi, Spirit. Lu Chongxing attempted to activate the 3 major divine abilities within the life-bound treasured bone. In an instant, the runes on his breastbone interwove, bursting forth with dazzling light. Inside Lu Chongxing, his blood, mana, and divine sense roared like a tsunami. A 1-fold increase, a 2-fold increase, a 3-fold increase. An endless rush of intense vital energy exploded within Lu Chongxing, his muscles bulging to almost another size, his bones cracking noisily. He seemed like a volcano erupting, his aura ascending step by step. Within his dantian, the 7 luminaries' mana flowed unrestrained like a breached river, filling the meridians and dantian, emitting a terrifying spiritual pressure, almost surpassing the peak of foundation establishment. At that moment, the profound origin bead within him also vibrated crazily, and the effect of its enhancement began to weaken continuously. 4-fold increase, 5-fold increase. As the 9 Treasures Rui Bone continued to be activated, Lu Changsheng's body was enveloped in a radiance resembling a dazzling sun, dense runes emerging on his skin. Is this the power of divine skills? Lu Chongxing marveled, feeling that at this moment, he was brimming with strength, invincible in the world. Not just his physical body and mana. His divine sense too at this moment was like a vast ocean, as if he could see everything at Baiyun Peak in a single glance. Yet he could distinctly feel that his physical body, meridians, dantian, and spirit were all under strain. He immediately stopped the divine abilities of the 9 Treasures Rui Bone, and the surrounding spiritual pressure receded like a tide, leaving Lu Chongxing feeling weak all over, hollow. With my current physical body and meridians capacity, under normal conditions, an increase by 2 or 3 times is about right. If the increase is too much, it will impose a burden on myself. If pushed to the limit for a while, I fear my body, meridians, and dantian might break. Lu Chongxing took a deep breath and exhaled for a long duration. He realized that using the 9 Treasures Rui Bone and its impacts were related to his physical body and the cultivation level of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body technique. However, a 2 or 3 times increase is sufficient. In this state, with the profound origin bead's enhancement still in effect, facing a false core should not be a problem. Plus, as long as the mana and divine sense are boosted, my proficiency in talisman formations will also rise to a new level. Lu Changsheng's mouth curved upward, revealing a smile. With the 9 Treasures Rui Bone, he was confident in slaughtering those at Foundation establishment as easily as slaughtering chickens. To kill a false core immortal, that shouldn't be too difficult either. As for a nascent soul immortal, if he used all his methods while he didn't claim he could slay one, he certainly had the power to fight. Looking at the 9 Treasures Rui Bone in front of his chest, Lu Changsheng's spirit moved again. 9 Treasures Rui Sealing. Lu Chongxing activated the 7th divine ability of the 9 Treasures Rui Bone, the Sealing Divine Light, partially sealing his own physical body and mana. Instantly, dark golden light flowed over his breastbone, causing his entire body to look pale, his bones loose, and his muscles soft and flabby. The mana of the middle stage of Foundation establishment also regressed, falling to an unstable state of Foundation establishment. Hiss, this sensation is indeed uncomfortable. Even entertaining 10 women overnight doesn't feel this weak. After using the 9 Treasures Rui Bone to seal part of his vitality and mana, Lu Chongxing felt uneasy throughout his body. It was like after he had depleted his lifespan and origin source energy to heal Ling Zixiao, leaving his spirit wilted. But upon checking with his divine sense, it really didn't look like he had a body refined to the Foundation establishment middle stage. It seems this innate divine ability has something to it.